In his heart, he vigorously slammed the thermos cup onto Captain Xie. It had only been half a month since his wife finished her confinement period, and now she was pregnant again. The cold and strong man just knelt stiffly, looking aggrievedly towards his pale-skinned little wife on the side. What he was truly thinking was, "It's over. I'll have to sleep with a blanket between us and eat vegetarian for another 10 months. Since getting married, he and his wife hadn't been intimate more than 3 times, yet he was already the father of 5 naughty boys. Everyone mocked him for being naturally infertile. How could anyone have predicted that he would marry a beautiful, delicate wife with an easily pregnant constitution and a multiple birth gene? She not only broke his fate of having no heir, but also allowed the struggling Z family to finally become prosperous with descendants. However, not everyone knew that the girl had reincarnated. In her previous life, her cousin, eager for a rich madam's life, rushed to marry a high-ranking military officer. But after marriage, she discovered the man was not only lame and disfigured, but also infertile, and he soon died of illness. The following year, she married an abusive man and ended up with the miserable fate of being beaten to death. Her cousin, Qin Nian, married the disdainful, educated youth who had been sent to the countryside, and every day was a feast. Her husband not only became the country's wealthiest man, but also gave birth to 4 lovely and obedient children. And so, after being reborn, the cousin cried, demanding to marry the poor, educated youth, even attempting to slander Qin Nian to threaten her into agreeing to swap fiancés. Having experienced the heartache of her educated youth husband falling for someone else in her past life, Queen Nian decisively turned the tables and chose to marry the military officer. And today was the day the man sent people to pick her up to go to the military compound. When she pushed open the door, the eyes of the 2 soldiers at the entrance went wide. They hadn't expected the regiment commander's wife to be so beautiful. One tall man was the first to regain his senses. "Comrade Qin Nian, hello. I am Regiment Commander Xie's Guard, AGU, and this is Comrade Li Gang. We are here to take you to the compound." Qin Nian politely smiled back. "Thank you, comrades, for your trouble. My things are packed. I can leave any time." The 2 nodded. After Qin Nian said goodbye to her mother, the 3 drove to the base hospital. In a hospital ward, a young man covered in injuries lay on the bed. Hospital Director Lu Xu sat by the bed, peeling an apple, announcing good news. "The intelligence you obtained during this mission is very important. Your promotion papers were sent to the camp today." The man on the bed's eyes trembled slightly. He only said faintly, "Got it." The woman's hand paused. Everyone knew that although Xie Yucheng was promoted, he would no longer be able to stay in the military. Seeing the man's pale face, Lu Xu turned her body, wiping the tears from the corners of her eyes with her sleeve. "I heard your wife is arriving at the base today," she said, handing the peeled apple to Xie Yucheng, forcing a smile on her face. Xie Yucheng's low, rough voice came from the bed. "Forget it. Why trouble an innocent girl?" Lu Xiu's face changed slightly. Her worst fear had come true. Xie Yucheng's will to live was weak. She stammered, trying to persuade him. "Your marriage was decided by your parents and arranged by a matchmaker. The organization has also stamped the marriage report. Don't give up. How many people were pronounced incurable, yet created miracles with sheer will?" Xie Yucheng's attitude was firm. "One can be selfish, but one cannot harm others. If she marries me and then becomes a widow, her life will be ruined." How could Lu Xu not know? But people are selfish. Lu Xu just hoped that a wife could reawaken his will to live and strengthen his desire for life. Just as Qin Nian and AGU reached the ward door, they happened to overhear Xie Yucheng's words. Just those words alone made Qin Nian feel a sliver of goodwill toward him. However, just by listening to his voice, Qin Nian knew the man had suffered a great loss of vitality and didn't have long to live. But when she saw the man on the bed, her eyes lit up slightly. His head was wrapped in a blood-stained gauze bandage, only revealing the outline of half a handsome face. It wasn't hard to tell he was a handsome man. The man was estimated to be 1.9 meters tall, and his open hospital gown revealed 8 perfectly sculpted abs. A man with such superior physical condition could be described as a perfect specimen of humanity. Lu Xiu was stunned by Qin Nian's overly beautiful and dazzling face. When she recovered, she actively stepped forward, warmly taking Qin Nian's hand and leading her to the bedside. However, Qin Nian's gaze remained fixed on the man's scarred abs. Those taut abs made her want to touch them. Xie Cheng followed her gaze and saw his disheveled appearance. He quickly reached out and pulled his clothes. Qin swiftly reached out, using subtle force to pinch his wrist. Your internal organs are severely damaged, and they are cold. Your body needs to dissipate heat. It's best not to be too bundled up. Xie Cheng stared at the fair, delicate hand resting on his wrist. His low voice carried a hint of distance. Have you felt enough? No, Qin said calmly, her face showing no embarrassment. She then let go of Xie Cheng's wrist and proceeded to feel the pulse on his other wrist. Just as Xie Cheng was about to push the woman's hand away, Qin let go first. The man's injuries were slightly better than she had expected, but still not good. As a famous physician in her previous life, this injury was not untreatable for her. However, the treatment process would involve intense pain, and anyone without an iron will would be unable to endure it. Moreover, this was a military compound, and countless eyes were watching Xie Cheng. Any slight mistake could lead to his complete ruin. While she was deep in thought, the man lying on the bed suddenly tensed all his muscles. He clenched the bedboard with both hands, gritting his teeth, and squeezed out a difficult sentence from his throat. "AGU, take Comrade Qin to the guest house to rest." Xie Cheng's hand, gripping the bedboard, was turning white, as if it was about to burst through the skin. Lu Xu saw this situation and knew he was having an episode. She frantically pulled open the bedside drawer, took out a yellow, transparent pill box, and poured out 2 pills. "Yu Cheng, take the medicine. It won't hurt after you take it." She tried to pry open the man's tightly clenched lips, but Xie Cheng's eyes were shut tight, and his tightly furrowed brow formed a deep crease. The pain seemed to be engraved into his soul. As a physician, Queen Nian knew the pain he was enduring was comparable to the pain of a woman's childbirth. She also realized one thing. With Xie Cheng's perseverance, he would be able to withstand her treatment. Thinking this, Qin Nian took out her acupuncture kit and walked to the bedside. "Move aside. I can wake Xie Cheng up." Lucia's face drastically changed when she saw the silver needles. "What are you going to do?" Qin Nian didn't explain. She lifted the man's clothes, and a long needle instantly pierced Xie Cheng's Shangxin acupoint. The man's complexion visibly improved. However, this was not enough. Qin Nian took out several more silver needles over 10 centimeters long. AGU and Lu Xu, who were watching, both changed their expressions. Such long needles going into a person's body. Don't damage him. Lu Xu quickly stepped forward to stop her. "Comrade Qin Nian, you can't insert any more needles. Yu Cheng is awake. Feeding him painkillers will make him better soon." As she spoke, she held the white pills in her hand and quickly walked toward the man on the bed. Qin Nian swiftly snatched the pill, brought it to her nose, and smelled it. It was conapapadin. Lu Xu stared at her with suspicion. "How do you know?" Qin Nian realized what she had said and was startled, but she pretended to shrug casually. "The bottle on the table is labeled with the name of the medicine. I saw it." She then handed the pill back to Lu Xu. "This kind of medicine has the risk of addiction, especially for a soldier like Xie Cheng. The long-term consequences are unimaginable." "Impossible!" Lu Xu immediately retorted loudly. "This is a painkiller introduced from abroad. It's highly effective and can provide quick relief for the patient." Qian didn't explain. She put the pill back in Lu Xu's hand. "I can't debate the facts. It's just a suggestion." After speaking, she looked at Xie Cheng, who had already opened his eyes on the bed, and shook the handful of silver needles. "Do you want to continue?" Xie Cheng lowered his eyes and looked at the silver needles on his body. "Is the only purpose of these to relieve pain?" Qian's smile deepened. "Of course, it's not just for pain relief. Your current physical condition involves blood stagnation and blocked meridians. By using the technique of the 9-turn meridian needle and precisely needling the 360 acupoints all over your body, I can unblock all your meridians, activate the circulation of blood and qi in your body, and expel the internal stagnation." Lu Xu and AGU on the side gasped, their eyes wide. 360 acupoints. Wouldn't that turn him into a sieve? Only Xie Cheng's pale face remained unchanged. "To what extent can this heal me?" Qin Nian's tone was confident and certain. "In 1 month, I can restore you to your original state. Do you want to take a gamble?" She believed Xie Cheng understood her meaning. More than 30 years ago, her grandfather was able to save the dilapidated Jie family estate, and as the 38th generation successor of the Qin family, And with 2 lives worth of medical experience, Qin Nian naturally had the ability to completely cure Xie Yucheng. However, Lu Ziu, who knew the man's physical condition, looked grim. Isn't this absurd? Even if we invited the best doctor in the world, they couldn't guarantee Xie Yucheng would be completely cured. Comrade Zhao Qin, as the hospital director, I firmly object to your proposal. Qin Nian smiled good-naturedly and didn't speak. Her gaze remained on Xie Yucheng. Xie Yucheng stared at his broken leg on the hospital bed. Finally, he just said faintly, "All right." Lu Shu immediately rushed to the bedside in a panic. "Yucheng, you can't be impulsive." Xie Yucheng only said one sentence. "Aunt Shu, she is the granddaughter of the benefactor who saved my father back then, and she is the heir to the Qin family's medical skills." Lucy turned her head in disbelief, her gaze burning as she stared at the young and beautiful Qin Nian. Her husband had been in the same unit as Xie's father, and she clearly knew that the Xie family was truly on the brink of death back then. Therefore, she also knew how incredible Grandpa Qin was. Lu Shu immediately dispelled all her doubts. She solemnly took Qin Nian's hand. "Child, do you really have the confidence to cure Yucheng?" Qin Nian's smile remained. "I said give me 1 month and I will restore him to his original state." At this point, Xie Yucheng suddenly spoke. "Aunt Yu, I want to speak with her alone for a few moments." Lu Shu and AGU immediately left the ward and closed the door. Only 2 people remained in the ward. Qin Nian walked to the bedside and reminded him, "This might be a little painful next. Bear with it. After all, the treatment that has begun cannot be abandoned halfway. Otherwise, not only will all efforts be wasted, but the injury will also worsen." Xie Yucheng looked at the 10+ centimeter silver needles and forcefully grunted a nasal. The moment the silver needle entered his body, Xie Yucheng's hands tightly gripped the white sheet. His body trembled uncontrollably from the pain. It took a long time before there was finally some relief. The man felt his body start to heat up, his pores opened, and he felt incredibly comfortable. Since his severe injury a week ago, he had been enduring the torment of pain every day. This was the first time he had experienced the ease he felt before the injury. The man opened his tightly shut eyes, his gaze fixed on Qin Nian, who was sitting by the bedside. "What do you want?" His solemn tone held suspicion and a degree of certainty. Qin Nian was completely confused by the question. "I just don't want to be a widow, so you will cooperate with my treatment, right?" She didn't want to let go of Xie Yucheng. The Xie family's status in this life was second to none, a high-quality resource. She could use this large ship to facilitate things. Even if they couldn't be a real couple in the end, being partners would be fine. Xie Yucheng's tone was slow, but there was a hint of surprise. "You want to marry me?" Qin Nian frowned. "Don't tell me you want to break the engagement." Ziyu Sung suddenly smiled. "How could I? As long as you don't mind, we'll get our marriage certificate tomorrow." Qin Nian narrowed her eyes. "I'm fine with it. Anyway, as long as I get on the Xie family's large ship." After speaking, she glanced at the yellow, transparent medicine on the table. "If you want to be completely cured within a month, you must listen to everything I say. First of all, this medicine must be stopped. You cannot continue taking it." Xie Yucheng lifted his eyelids, his tone casual. "How do you know its risks?" Qin Nian held the medicine, just about to come up with an excuse to gloss over it. But her heart moved. In her previous life, this medicine had caused a heavy price for many people in the country before its risks were finally recognized. Given the Xi family's influence in this life, perhaps they could ban its widespread use. Thinking this, she spoke solemnly. In Xiangjiang, many people use conopopidin as a recreational drug. In the previous life, the side effects of its use in that area were the first to fully erupt, but the news was consistently suppressed. When she mentioned Xiangjiang, Xie Yucheng couldn't help but be shocked. He sat up with difficulty and forcefully grabbed Qin Nian's wrist. "What is your basis?" Qin Nian was completely fearless, enunciating clearly. "You can send someone to investigate in Xiangjiang." Xie Yucheng looked into Qin Nian's unflinching eyes and finally released her wrist. But a red mark had already been left on her skin. He lowered his eyes, his voice slow and low. "I will have someone inquire. I hope you haven't lied to me." "Lying to you wouldn't benefit me at all," Qin Nian said, remaining calm on the surface but inwardly letting out a huge sigh of relief. If the Xie family intervened in the matter of Konopapadine, it would surely save many lives. However, she rubbed her wrist, which was aching from being clenched, staring at the red mark. She couldn't look away. Half an hour later, it was time for Xie Yucheng to have the needles removed. A miserable scream immediately rang out in the ward. When Lu Xiu and Agu rushed in, they saw Xie Yucheng on the bed with a pale face. Qin Nian removed the last silver needle from his body, revealing a pure and harmless smile. "It's nothing." Regiment Commander Shi almost cried because he couldn't stand the pain. Hearing Qin Nian's nonsense, Xie Yucheng couldn't help but raise his voice and shout her name. This was absolutely revenge. For the last few needles, he clearly felt Qin Nian increase the force. Qin Nian, however, smiled innocently. "My ears aren't deaf. You don't need to shout so loudly." Xie Yucheng looked at her rosy, fair face, then lowered his eyes to the red mark on her wrist. He finally admitted he was in the wrong. "Agu, first settle Comrade Qin Nian in my residence." "Yes, Regiment Commander." Agu walked into the ward and picked up the luggage Qin Nian had brought. Qin Nian, however, stood still and frowned. "Is your place messy? If it's too messy, I'd rather stay in the guest house first." Xie Yucheng was in severe pain, and his pale lips were tightly pursed, giving no response. He looked extraordinarily cold and arrogant. Qin Nian didn't mind Xie Yucheng's coldness at all. "I'm talking to you. Why don't you speak?" Xie Yucheng had no choice but to grit his teeth and say one word at a time. "I don't know. He hadn't been back in over a month. How would he know if the place was messy?" At this time, Lu Xiu was very excited. Xie Yucheng's strong shout just now was full of vigor. No one could tell he was severely injured. This little girl, Qin Nian, was simply a miracle worker. Seeing the young couple seemed to be having a little spat, she quickly walked to Qin Nian. "Yucheng was out on a mission last month and only recently returned. The house definitely needs tidying up. I'll take you over and we can clean it up." She had a lot of strength and easily pulled Qin Nian out of the ward. As Qin Nian's foot crossed the ward door, she suddenly turned back. "Xie Yucheng, you're going to be in pain for another half an hour. Just endure it. The treatment to follow will be even harder than this." Xie Yucheng's lips were tightly sealed. He was afraid that if he opened his mouth, a cry of pain would escape. That would be too embarrassing. Lu Xiu saw the situation was awkward and explained, "This child has been cold and aloof since he was young. You'll get used to it once you're familiar with him." Qin Nian smiled faintly, looking at the man's suppressed agony. She followed Lu Xiu and Agu out of the ward. Xie Yucheng's residence was a red-tiled house with a vegetable garden. The place was not messy, but the furniture inside was covered with a layer of dust. The three of them quickly fetched a basin of water and started wiping down the furniture with rags. Half an hour later, the room was cleaned and the sky was completely dark. Lu Xiu looked at the beautiful and nimble Qin Nian and liked her more and more. "It's too late to cook now. Let's go to the mess hall for the communal dinner." This was the first time Qin Nian had eaten a communal meal in the military in either life. The cooking techniques certainly couldn't compare to later generations. But in this era, a meal with meat, vegetables, and soup was already quite good. Lu Xiu left after dinner, entrusting Agu with the important task of taking Qin Nian back to the family compound. However, before the two of them could leave the mess hall, they heard a woman shout, "Agu!" Qin Nian turned her head and saw a tall woman in a military uniform walking toward them. Wang Chunling stared at Agu with bloodshot eyes. "Regiment Commander Xie said he's getting married. Who is that woman?" Agu looked away nervously. It was well known in the camp that this woman was infatuated with Xie Yucheng. He subconsciously looked at Qin Nian, who was sitting next to him. Wang Chunling followed his gaze, her eyes full of disbelief. "It's you. Did you use some kind of trick to force Regiment Commander Shi to marry you?" She couldn't believe this rustic village girl was the one Xie Yucheng was going to marry. Qin Nian put down her chopsticks, her cold eyes fixed on the jealous Wang Chunling. "Why would I need any tricks? Xie Yucheng and I were engaged by our families, elders." Wang Chunling's eyes lit up and she immediately raised her voice. "What era is it now? Engaged in arranged marriage. Regiment Commander Z shouldn't be dragged down by someone like you." As soon as she said this, it instantly attracted the attention of many people in the mess hall. Some soldiers quickly gathered around, holding their rice bowls. Qin Nian ignored the scrutinizing glances around her. Word for word, she said. Who says we have an arranged marriage? Don't you know there's a phrase called love at first sight? Xie Yucheng insists on marrying only me. Wang Chunling looked at the confident Qin Nian and instantly panicked. Impossible! You're a village girl. You're absolutely unworthy of Regiment Commander C. Chen Nian lifted her jaw, her tone mocking. Then who is worthy? You? She looked Wang Chunling up and down, then shook her head with feigned regret. We're getting our marriage license tomorrow. It was Xie Yucheng who suggested it. Wang Chunling's eyes were red with jealousy. You must have forced him. How could someone like Regiment Commander Xie ever fancy you? Qin Nian pursed her lips, stood up, and looked Wang Chunling level in the eyes. Look around. How many people are watching you? Don't let yourself become a laughingstock. A young girl should know how to respect herself. After speaking, she gave Agu a look. Agu immediately stood up, his gaze coldly sweeping over the surrounding soldiers. Just one look was enough to make many people quiet down. He then quickly led Qin Nian toward the mess hall entrance. Wang Chunling, however, blocked Qin Nian's path. You can't leave! Arranged marriage is a bad custom from the old era. If you had any self-awareness, you would break off the engagement with Regiment Commander Xi. He should marry a well-educated and sensible good girl. You probably don't even recognize a single word. You're not worthy of him. Qin Nian was so angry, she laughed. Was this a veiled insult, suggesting she wasn't a good girl? She had been trying to save Wang Chunling's face, but this woman wanted to trample her dignity. Qin Nian's expression turned hostile as she looked at Wang Chunling. Who are you to Xi Cheng? Wang Chunling's momentum immediately halved. I am Regiment Commander Zie's comrade, a comrade who can fight alongside him. Which is to say, you are just an outsider, Qin Nian retorted. Xie Yucheng and I are a destined couple. What right do you have to point fingers at us? Seeing Wang Chunling's face turn red with shame and anger, Qin Nian twisted the knife. His marriage to me has been approved by the organization and has a stamp on it. I believe it won't be long until we become intimately connected in heart. In the end, Wang Chunling ran out of the mess hall crying. Xie Yucheng, on the bed, soon learned about the incident. He developed a new understanding of Qin Nian, sharp-tongued and eloquent. After Agu finished recounting the story, he placed the food he brought on the table. Regiment Commander, please eat a little more. Xie Yucheng frowned. He felt nauseous just smelling the food. He sighed, but unable to resist Agu's urging, he reluctantly ate a few bites. However, the next second, he vomited everything up. Agu's eyes were red with distress. He dared not persuade him further, and silently cleaned up the mess on the floor. On the other side, Qin Nian was organizing the luggage she had brought. Suddenly, Agu's voice came from outside the door. She opened the door and saw the 1.8-meter tall man standing outside with red eyes. What happened? She asked in surprise. Agu sniffed. Sister-in-law, the regiment commander hasn't eaten anything all day. Whatever he eats, he throws up. He was truly at his wit's end and came to find Qin Nian, harboring the hope that she might have a solution. Hearing this, Qin Nian also showed a look of annoyance. My mistake, I forgot about this. She walked into the kitchen with a familiar ease. Your regiment commander's spleen and stomach are currently damaged and weak. The biggest side effect is anorexia. Even if he eats, he'll throw it up. Qin Nian entered the kitchen, opened the cupboard, and saw rice, flour, and eggs inside. She told Agu, please go to the vegetable garden and pick some greens for me. Seeing that Qin Nian really had a plan, Agu turned and rushed out the door. Next, Wen Nian went to the master bedroom and took out several wooden boxes that smelled of gunpowder and medicine, which she had brought from home. By the time Agu came back, cradling fresh, dewy greens, Qin Nian had already mixed the dough. An hour later, fragrant little wontons were out of the pot. In the ward, Xie Yucheng looked at the small wontons, thin skin, ample filling, in the lunchbox, and felt an inexplicable sense of hunger. Where did this come from? Agu grinned. Sister-in-law made them herself. An image of Qin Nian's delicate, fair face flashed in front of Xie Yucheng's eyes. A tingling sensation arose in his heart, and a warm current enveloped him from the inside out. He took the spoon from Agu's hand. She just arrived at the camp, and it's so late. Why did you bother her? He complained about Agu's inconsiderateness, yet his hand scooped a wonton and brought it to his mouth. The fresh and tender flavor burst on his palate, accompanied by a faint, indescribable scent of medicine. He cautiously swallowed it, and the familiar nausea and urge to vomit did not follow. That night, Xie Yucheng not only ate a large bowl of wontons, but also had his first peaceful sleep since his injury. The next day, Xie Yucheng was awakened by an itching sensation on his leg. Opening his eyes, he saw Qin Nian holding his wrist with one hand and touching the area above his casted thigh with the other. Xie Yucheng instantly woke up. "What are you doing?" Qin Nian saw that he was awake and hesitated before speaking. "Xie Yucheng, are you impotent?" The man's face instantly flushed with shame and anger. He pulled the blanket up to cover his waist, his teeth grinding audibly. No man could tolerate being told he was impotent. This was a matter of a man's dignity. Qin Nian gave a light cough to ease the awkwardness. "It must be the result of a blow to the spine when you were injured. With proper conditioning, it shouldn't affect its future use." Just as she finished speaking, her face changed. They were getting their marriage license today. They would be a legal couple in the future. What was she talking about use for? Wouldn't people think she was overly eager? In an instant, a seductive blush also appeared on the girl's face. Xie Yucheng took in the changes in her expression. Most of the anger in his heart dissipated. He subtly changed the subject. "Why did you come over?" Qin Nian composed herself, keeping her voice as calm as possible. "To bring you breakfast and begin today's treatment," she said, handing him the lunchbox. "Eat first. You need strength for the taeksa, tossing and turning." The phrase tossing and turning instantly caused Xie Yucheng's lips to press into a thin line, making him reconsider getting the marriage certificate. His disfigured face, crippled leg, and now the possibility of complete impotence due to the injury. He suddenly realized he couldn't provide Qin Nian with the normal life a couple should have. Qin Nian didn't know what he was thinking. Seeing that he wouldn't take the lunchbox, she firmly pushed it into his hand. The lid was opened, and a rich, fragrant smell of rice porridge wafted out. Under Qin Nian's urging, Xie Yucheng forced himself to drink a few mouthfuls. The familiar scent of medicine spread through his mouth. Just like last night, he didn't feel any urge to vomit. Instead, his appetite was stimulated. 10 minutes later, Xie Yucheng was made to sit up in bed. His entire body was covered in silver needles of varying sizes. Quote, "The next few needles will hurt a lot. Be mentally prepared," Qin Nian warned. No sooner had Qin Nian spoken than the last few needles were quickly inserted. The pain instantly made Xie Yucheng's breathing rapid, and an oppressed groan escaped his lips. Qin Nian ignored him and walked to the foot of the bed. "Now I'm going to remove the cast on your leg. For the next half a month, you'll be lying in bed. Eating, drinking, and using the restroom will all be done in bed." After a moment, she heard Xie Yucheng's reply. "No problem." He looked at Qin Nian with hopeful eyes. "Can this leg truly recover?" Qin Nian's tone was calm as she removed the cast. "As long as I use the golden needles to unblock the meridians and stimulate the nerves, and then apply my specially formulated medicinal compress, I guarantee your complete recovery in 1 month." Xie Yucheng was half skeptical, wondering if Qin Nian had misunderstood his meaning. What he needed was to be able to do high-intensity training, again, to be able to stay in the military. But in the end, his thin lips moved. "Just do your best. I won't blame you if it doesn't work." While the two were talking, Qin Nian had completely removed the cast. She held a golden needle, reminding him, "This time, the insertion will be deeper. Be prepared." Xie Yucheng was about to answer when the pain of the needle insertion made him let out a muffled cry of anguish. When everything was over, a layer of fine, cold sweat emerged on his body. The man frowned, his head tilted back, revealing his prominent, sexy Adam's apple, which made one inexplicably want to bite it. Qin Nian forcibly averted her gaze. Adam's apple kill. This man was too sexy. Xie Yucheng didn't notice her unusual behavior, opening his mouth with a husky voice. "Please pour me a glass of water." Qin Nian came to her senses, nodded, and handed the cup to the man. At this moment, Xie Yucheng didn't even have the strength to lift his arm. He could only drink the water by leaning on Qin Nian's hand. He finished one cup and asked for another. Just as Qin Nian turned to pour the water, she suddenly slipped, Her body uncontrollably swayed backward, falling towards Xie Yucheng, who was covered in needles. Realizing the harm this would cause the man, she immediately pressed her hands on the bed and flipped over flexibly to the side. However, when she raised her head again, she was only millimeters away from the man on the bed. The most embarrassing thing was that Xinyan clearly felt that the object she was grabbing felt wrong. Following Xie Yucheng's merman lying downward, her face instantly turned bright red. Xie Yucheng also managed to squeeze out a sentence with difficulty. "Take your hand away." Just then, the ward door was pushed open. AGU stood outside with a stunned expression. Qinnian immediately panicked and quickly stood up. With her back to the ward, she pretended to be tidying the acupuncture kit on the table. In an angle no one could see, Qinnian rubbed her hand on her clothes, trying to secretly wipe away the sensation of the object she had just touched. She never thought she would have a misdiagnosis. Nonsense about impotence. Xie Yucheng was perfectly fine. AGU outside the door scratched the back of his head awkwardly. "That regiment commander, sister-in-law, did I come at a bad time?" Xie Yucheng asked with a slightly cold tone. "What are you here for?" AGU held up the aluminum lunchbox in his hand. "Bringing you food." After saying that, he stepped aside, enthusiastically introducing the two women, one old and one young, behind him. "These two are comrades from the marriage registration office." Xie Yucheng's face remained consistently indifferent and cold. "It's inconvenient today. Ask them to go back first." Qinnian turned around, her beautiful eyes gleaming. "It's not inconvenient at all. Are you trying to stall?" Xie Yucheng, whose mind had been exposed, avoided her gaze. "I've already eaten breakfast. Take the comrades from the marriage registration office to the mess hall." AGU sensed the atmosphere in the ward was wrong and quickly led the two female comrades away. As soon as the door closed, Qinnian began her interrogation. "What are you up to?" Xie Yucheng only spoke calmly. "Agu's merits have been suppressed all these years. I keep him by my side so he can gain more experience. With his ability, he'll surpass me in a few years, and he's a year younger than me. What do you think of him?" Qinnian's heart sank continuously. "Are you suggesting I marry him?" Xie Yucheng's tone was still cold. "Your medical skills are extraordinary. You should know my situation. I cannot give you what you want." Qinnian scoffed and sat down on the bed. "What do you think I want?" Xie Yucheng's pale lips were tightly pursed. After a long silence, he opened his mouth with some difficulty and embarrassment. "Most of my external injuries are concentrated on my lower body. Marrying me would be holding you back." A man admitting he was impotent was more painful than a slap in the face. In his 20-something years of life, Xie Yucheng had never felt so humiliated. Qinnian spoke indifferently. "Didn't you show signs of recovery just now? After a week of taking the medicine, you'll return to normal." Xie Yucheng's perked ears immediately twitched. His sweat-beaded eyelashes fluttered. Qinnian stared at his quickly reddening ears, her eyes brimming with a barely concealed smile. "However, you've ultimately damaged the root. There is no possibility of having children in that regard, not even in spirit. Why?" Xie Yucheng's already furrowed brow tightened further. Qinnian shook her head. "You have overlapping internal and external injuries, causing weakness in the semen cells and irreversible side effects in the body. Unless you are lucky enough to meet a person with a naturally fertile constitution, you will undoubtedly be childless in this life." Qinnian looked at his contemplative profile, then changed her tone. "There's something I need to make clear to you. I came to the military base to fulfill the engagement my grandfather and your father set years ago. If you don't want to marry me, I'll go back to the village after curing you. I won't let you dictate the rest of my life. I'm not worried about getting married. Even if no one marries me, I'm perfectly happy to remain unmarried my entire life." Xie Yucheng was about to speak, but a sudden, rapid cough interrupted him. Ignoring the needles sticking into him, he sat up and forcefully gripped Qinnian's hand. I don't not want to marry you. I'm afraid you'll regret it." "Don't talk yet," Qinnian said, placing her hand on Xie Yucheng's chest. Her slender fingertips explored for a moment, then pressed and rubbed the acupuncture point forcefully a few times. A rush of warmth quickly rose in Xie Yucheng's chest, and the rapid coughing instantly disappeared. Seeing his improvement, Qinnian asked in confusion, "Regret what?" In her previous life, she endured the disgusting scumbag Yang Yunchuan, even helping to raise his child. She was fine with that. Shi Yusheng was such a good resource. Even if they were only a couple in name later, she was still winning, wasn't she? Xie Yucheng's chest rose and fell unevenly. Regretting marrying a cripple. Qin Yan's eyes flickered slightly. Was this man so considerate of others? She just wanted to board the Shi family's large ship. She hadn't considered that much. Thinking this, she quickly changed the subject. You're clearly doubting my medical skills. If you believed in my medical skills, you wouldn't introduce other men to me. Xiao Yucheng was speechless now. He really didn't quite believe that he could fully recover. Qin Nian stood up and walked toward the ward door. I'm decocting your medicine at home. I'll go back and check on it. You think about it carefully. Think about what? Whether we should still get married? Xie Yucheng watched Qin Nian's retreating back. Even if we can never have children, are you still willing to marry me? Qin Nian paused in her steps. I never said I wouldn't marry you from start to finish. Not long after Qin Nian left, AGU returned with the comrades from the marriage registration office. Xie Yucheng, contrary to his previous resistance, cooperated willingly. An hour later, when Qin Nian returned to the ward with the herbal medicine, she saw 2 marriage certificates similar to commendation letters on the table. The 2 staff members from the marriage registration office wished the couple well with beaming smiles. Qin Nian took out a handful of White Rabbit milk candies from her pocket and gave a few to each of them. After a few polite exchanges, the 2 staff members happily accepted the candy. When she returned after seeing the 2 out of the ward, she noticed the marriage certificates on the table were gone. However, she didn't ask, only handing a full bowl of herbal medicine to Xie Yucheng. Time to drink your medicine. While Xie Yucheng was drinking the medicine, Qin Nian casually asked, as if making small talk, where did the marriage certificates on the table go? The man who was drinking the medicine paused, then calmly continued to drink. Qin Nian feigned concern. I heard that if you don't have the marriage certificate when you divorce, you have to reapply for a replacement. Did you put the marriage certificate away safely? Instantly, the medicine choked Xie Yucheng. Qin Nian patted Xie Yucheng's back. Drink slowly. No one is fighting you for it. Xie Yucheng coughed for a long time before recovering. He looked at Qin Nian with a serious expression. Quote, we just got married. You're already thinking about divorce? Marriage isn't playing house. We must see this marriage through to the end. Qin Nian couldn't help but laugh, seeing his upright and solemn demeanor. I wonder who it was just now who acted like he was taking a great loss by marrying me and vehemently resisted getting the certificate. Xie Yucheng averted his gaze slightly awkwardly. Marriage is not a trivial matter. It requires careful consideration. I don't want you to regret and be remorseful about this choice later. Tu Nian's eyes curved in a smile. Then you're quite understanding. The man grunted softly. It's good that you understand. His voice was barely audible and lacked confidence. Qin Nian stared at the half-intact side of Xie Yucheng's face, vaguely sensing his temperament. This man seemed a little shyly passionate. Thinking this, she reached out her hand. Then, Xie Yucheng, please bear with me for the rest of our lives. The delicate, boneless little hand entered Xie Yucheng's sight, causing his heart to skip a beat. As if possessed, he held Qin Nian's hand. His calloused, gun-toting thumb subconsciously rubbed it a few times. Qin Nian asked with a light laugh, does it feel good? Comfortable? Xie Yucheng suddenly withdrew his hand, cleared his throat softly, and coughed to ease his embarrassment. Regiment Commander Xie, touching a woman's small hand for the first time, had ears so red they were almost dripping blood. He looked at the golden needles stuck in his leg, changing the subject with a shaky voice. It seems like it's time. Hearing this, Qin Nian handed the remaining half-bowl of herbal medicine on the table back to him. You continue drinking the medicine. I'll remove the needles for you. After Qin Nian finished removing the needles, she saw that Xie Yucheng had finished his medicine. She took out the last White Rabbit milk candy from her pocket. The medicine is quite bitter. Eat a candy to sweeten your mouth. A strange feeling arose in Xie Yucheng's heart. He was being treated like a child. Qin Nian saw that Xie Yucheng wasn't taking it and forced the candy into his hand. This is the candy I took from your bedside. It's not poisoned. Eat it without worry. Xie Yucheng suddenly looked up. You're sleeping in my room? Qin Nian was a little strange. Otherwise, do you want me to sleep in the yard? Xie Cheng didn't mention that there was an empty room next to the master bedroom where AGU, his guard, occasionally stayed. Now, all he could think about was Qin Nian sleeping in his room. Would the quilt be permeated with the same pleasant fragrance that was on her body? Qin Nian, holding the medicine jar and the acupuncture kit, looked at the man who was lost in thought on the bed. "I'll be responsible for your 3 meals a day from now on. Don't eat anything except water." Xie Cheng slowly replied, "All right." After Qin Nian left, the man's quickened heartbeat was still uncontrollable. For the first time, he desperately wanted to recover quickly. That evening, Qin Nian came to bring Si Yusheng dinner again. Just as Qin Nian was about to walk out the door, Xie Yucheng called out to her. "There's a silk quilt on top of the wardrobe in the bedroom. There's a pocket in the quilt's inner layer. Inside are my salary, allowance, and food stamps. We are husband and wife now. Your food, clothing, and expenses should all be my responsibility. The money at home should be managed by you." Qin Nian's beautiful eyebrows arched slightly. "Okay, I understand." It was hard not to like a man who was sensible and understood the rules. Xie Yucheng spoke again. "That silk quilt is warm in winter and cool in summer. My mother brought it back from Shangjiang. Use it when you sleep at night." Qin Nian laughed. "You're willing to part with such a valuable item?" Silk quilts were not cheap in this era. Xie Yucheng turned his head, his voice slow. "What would I be unwilling to part with for my wife?" Qin Nian's expression sobered, then a smile bloomed in her eyes. "Got it. Thank you, hubby." The word hubby was spoken sweetly and softly, making Xie Yucheng's ears turn bright red. Watching the man blush furiously, Qin Nian left in a good mood. When she returned to the family compound, she stepped onto a wooden stool and took down a silk quilt with a smooth, luxurious feel. A somewhat heavy bag slid out from within. Qin Nian looked down and was instantly dumbfounded. The bag contained over a dozen bundles of brand-new Great Unity bills and all sorts of dazzling food stamps. The cash alone was easily over 10,000 yuan. Qin Nian, looking dazed, placed the silk quilt on the bed and counted the thick money and food stamps in the bag. The cash totaled 13,846 yuan and 35 cents. There were hundreds of food stamps, including all the various coupons of the era. Qin Nian took a deep breath. Truly the original stock. The family's financial situation was extraordinarily good. She only took the money and stamps needed for household use, putting the rest back into the cotton quilt lining in the wardrobe. Xie Yucheng was only her husband in name, and she felt she had no right to distribute this large sum of money. That night, Qin Nian lay under the soft, skin-friendly silk quilt, but tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Suddenly, Qin Nian sat up abruptly. "Isn't Xie Yucheng sick in the head?" The more she thought about it, the more she felt that Si Yucheng was trying to tempt her with wealth. 10,000 yuan household in this era was equivalent to tens of millions in the early 21st century, not to mention the hundreds of food stamps which were more precious than the cash. Which comrade could withstand such a temptation? If she had Ye Yucheng's vast wealth, she would undoubtedly avoid many detours in this life. But she recalled Xie Yucheng's perfect figure, 1.9 meters tall, broad shoulders, and narrow waist. No, she couldn't afford to provoke this man. In her previous life, she used small tricks to make Yang Yongchuan, the scumbag, completely obedient, preventing the scumbag from getting close to her. But Xie Yucheng was too dangerous. Once he fully recovered, he would be a fierce beast that couldn't be controlled. She would definitely suffer at his hands. Thinking this, Qin Nian pulled the silk quilt, which had slipped from her fair, pointed shoulder. She suppressed the slight flutter in her heart, turned over, and continued to sleep. Time flew, and a week passed. That day, Qin Nian arrived at the ward as usual and saw 7 or 8 men in military uniforms. The middle-aged man closest to the bed had 2 bars and 4 stars on his shoulder and carried the solemn authority of a soldier. Qin Nian's eyes flickered, realizing this was the top leader of the 963 camp. "Comrade Qin has brought Xiao Xie his meal. Yucheng, you are truly blessed to have married such a beautiful and delicate wife." The solemn, tense atmosphere instantly livened up because of Qin Nian's arrival. Qin Nian looked at Xiao Yucheng on the bed. He was flipping through a red-letter document. The man kept his head down and didn't look at her once from beginning to end. Qin Nian told the people around, "Please continue with your work. I'll go to the washroom to fetch water." With that, she picked up the empty kettle in the corner and left the room. After the girl left, the serious atmosphere quickly returned to the room. Xie Yucheng finished reading the red-letter document spread out in his hands, took the fountain pen, and signed his name swiftly and smoothly. Quote, Director Luo, I will fully cooperate with the organization's action. Director Luo patted Xie Yucheng's shoulder. You focus on recovering first. Once your injuries are healed, you'll have plenty of opportunities to achieve merits. He then stepped aside, revealing 3 men in uniform. These are investigators from the capital. They have some things they want to understand from you. You talk first. I'll go check on Director Lu Xu. Xie Yucheng nodded and gave AGU a look. AGU personally escorted Director Luo and a few comrades out. Only the 3 investigators and Xie Yucheng remained in the ward. In the washroom, Qin Yan sat bored on a chair. She planned to return to the ward in half an hour. Suddenly, AGU came looking for her. The regiment commander is tied up for the time being. He asked me to take you to the Director Lu's office to wait. Hearing this, Qin Yan stood up and left with AGU. However, as soon as she reached the room where Director Lu was resting, she heard a woman's angry voice coming from inside. Luo Zhengguo, are you insane? Yucheng has just shown signs of improvement, and you assign him a mission? Do you think his injuries are too light? The 2 soldiers guarding the door stood at attention, watching their noses and noses watching their hearts, appearing calm as if they were used to the scene. Qin Yan's eyes widened. She hadn't expected the fighting between this middle-aged couple to be so fierce. AGU whispered, It's nothing. They'll reconcile quickly. The facts proved he was right. Before long, the door was open from the inside. Lu Xu saw Qin Yan outside the door and immediately grabbed her hand, her gaze warm. Nian, how long until Yucheng's injury fully heals? At least half a month, Qin Yan replied, enduring the pain of her hand being squeezed. Hearing this, Lu Xu pulled Qin Yan into the room. Luo Zhengguo was sitting on the main sofa, his clothes messy, his face sporting fingernail scratches. Seeing Qin Yan enter, he hurriedly adjusted his clothes, his expression shifty. Comrade Xiao Qin is here. Quick, sit down. Lu Xu glared at Luo Zhengguo. Did you hear that? Yucheng is severely injured and confined to bed. He cannot undertake any dangerous missions. Luo Zhengguo frowned and said earnestly, This is not something I can decide. Then go report the situation to the organization. Yucheng has faced life and death countless times over the years, and almost didn't make it several times. Now he's nearly crippled. Do you have the heart to watch the old Shi family send off their son? What kind of talk is that? I watched Yucheng grow up. I treat him like my own son. Bullshit. Lu Xu swore crudely, her eyes red with anger. Seeing his wife about to cry, Luo Zhengguo softened his tone. The higher-ups may not necessarily need Xie Yucheng to appear in person. Lu Xu grew even angrier. Do you think I'm easily fooled? The red letter document has been issued. That's a death order. Are you gonna just watch those desperate outlaws cross the border and bring in that despicable trash to harm our people? As soon as Director Luo spoke, he suddenly turned to look at Qin Yan. Seeing this, Qin Yan immediately spoke up. I'll go check on Xie Yucheng. Some things were not meant for an ordinary person like her to hear. It was best to leave early. Luo Zhengguo nodded and said gently, Go ahead. Take good care of Yucheng. The organization will remember you, and the Xie family will not mistreat you. Qin Yan forced a smile and left the room. She knew that because of her presence, Luo Zhengguo was speaking vaguely. Even so, Qin Yan had a rough idea of what Xie Yucheng's mission was. This was the 963 base on the border. Behind the base, the Tianying Ridge stretched for hundreds of miles. Though the terrain was complex, it didn't deter smugglers trying to cross over to Shangjiang. To the west of Tianying Ridge was a river, and on the other side was a lawless zone populated by many outlaws. Xie Yucheng's severe injury this time was caused by a homemade bomb detonated by a group of outlaws. On her way back to the ward, Qin Yan bumped into the 3 investigators. As she brushed past them, she caught a strong scent of blood. Thinking of Xie Yucheng in the ward, her vivid, beautiful face paled slightly, and she quickened her steps. Bang! The door was kicked open by Qin Yan. Seeing the scene inside, anger immediately flared on her face. Seeing the man covered in blood, she cursed under her breath and quickly walked in, grabbing the healing ointment from the table. Why did you let those people touch your wound? A faint smile appeared on Ziyu Cheng's lips. They needed to verify the authenticity of the injury. Qin Yan ground her teeth in anger. Do you know that those people peeled off the ointment on your body? That means today's treatment is wasted. Ziyu Cheng's expression also grew solemn upon hearing this. After a long while, he spoke apologetically. I'm sorry. The apology only made Qin Yan angrier. You didn't do it. Why are you apologizing? She sat on the bedside, placing the rice box in Ziyu Cheng's hand. Today's treatment is suspended. Eat first. You need energy for the struggle. Ziyu Cheng's heart felt heavy, and he was inexplicably troubled. Not because the treatment was delayed, but because all of Qin Yan's hard work today had been in vain. The woman saw the guilt in Ziyu Cheng's eyes. The anger in her clearly defined eyes dissipated. She suddenly leaned forward. Under Ziyu Cheng's surprised gaze, she gently stroked the scar on the man's left cheek. They were too rough. It was almost healed, and now the wound has cracked open again. The man felt the tingling of her fingertips and his heart trembled. The chopsticks in his hand almost slipped. He could feel his heart pounding faster and faster, as if it would leap out of his chest. Qin Yan didn't notice his abnormality. She sat up straight and urged him softly, If you don't eat soon, the food I made today will also be wasted. Ziyu Cheng stared covertly at Qin Yan's tempting red lips, his eyes drifting down to her delicate collarbone. He held his breath. Did you eat? Yes, I did, Qin Yan replied, giving him a strange look. She stood up to tidy the things on the table. Natters. The quiet ward, the faint sounds of Ziyu Cheng eating could be heard. After a while, it became quiet again. Qin Yan turned around and saw Ziyu Cheng frowning at the empty lunchbox. He looked completely unsatisfied. She suddenly remembered that the soldiers in the mess hall could eat 2 or 3 bowls of rice per meal, and the capacity of one bowl was roughly the same as the aluminum lunchbox. Qin Yan tentatively asked, What is your usual serving size? The hand holding the lunchbox froze. Finally, Ziyu Cheng said hesitantly, 5 bowls. Qin Yan was dumbfounded. It turned out she had been starving Ziyu Cheng for a week. Ziyu Cheng met Qin Yan's shocked eyes and panicked slightly. I don't eat that much when I'm not training. Just 3 bowls. Qin Yan silently covered her face with her hand. 3 bowls? She had been starving a patient for a whole week. Thinking this, Qin Yan put down her hand and said seriously, There's still food in the rice pot at home. I'll go back and get it for you. Ziyu Cheng, however, reached out and held her hand. Let AGU go. Don't trouble yourself. AGU, whose hearing was sharp outside the ward, immediately took off running as soon as he received the order. Qin Yan turned her head, a little helpless. You're hungry, so why didn't you say anything? Was I going to let you starve? Ziyu Cheng looked unnatural. I thought this was also part of the treatment process. Qin Yan didn't know whether to be angry or amused. There's no reason to starve yourself, though. Just as the two were talking, the room door was violently pushed open with a bang. Wang Chunling rushed into the room, her face full of excitement, her eyes fixed on Ziyu Cheng sitting on the bed. Regiment Commander Xie, I want to expose Qin Yan for having an improper relationship with someone. Qin Yan looked at the scene before her with a half-smile. How long had it been since someone dared to fling mud at her? In her previous life, being wrongly accused was commonplace, and she had often regretted not retaliating perfectly enough. Now the opportunity was delivered right to her doorstep. She spoke with a mocking smile. Comrade Wang Chunling, if you are having an improper relationship with someone, please go out and turn left. The people from the Red Star Brigade will take you to turn yourself in. You don't need to report to us. In this era, the consequences of having an illicit relationship were extremely severe. The light penalty was a lifetime of hard labor, and the severe penalty was a bullet. Wang Chunling's eyes instantly filled with terror. It's not me. Qin Yan nodded thoughtfully. You said you're not having an improper relationship. Do you have proof? Wang Chunling stammered, lowering her head. There's no need for proof if I didn't do those things. Qin Yan looked at her with sympathy, making a tut-tut sound. That won't do. No one will believe you if you can't produce evidence. Wang Chunling's face became very ugly. You are slandering me, Qin Yan laughed. Then why would I slander you and not someone else? Wang Chunling's expression froze. She had forgotten the purpose of coming here, her mind fixated on finding evidence to prove her innocence. Qin Nian saw that she was confused and was just about to roll up her sleeves and continue the attack when she suddenly felt the chill behind her. She had forgotten there was another person here. Qin Nian immediately turned to Jie Yucheng. She says I'm having an improper relationship. What do you think? In her heart, she hoped Jie Yucheng would not be a useless man like Yang Yunchuan, who believed every rumor. Because of that useless scumbag, she had been subjected to so much slander in her previous life that she couldn't wash it clean even if she jumped into the Yellow River. Jie Yucheng's face darkened. I believe you. His words instantly brought Wang Chunling back to reality. She gritted her teeth and pointed at Qin Nian. Regiment Commander Shi, this woman is not respectable. She's been flirting and being intimate with men, having an improper relationship. Shi Yucheng's cold gaze pierced Wang Chunling standing at the door. You are slandering my wife. I will report the situation to your organization. Wang Chunling was stunned. It's not slander. Qin Nian has a sweetheart in the village. Everyone in the village says she's promiscuous. That sweetheart is an educated youth who was sent to the countryside. He's her cousin's husband. A hard-to-read shadow flashed in Jie Yucheng's eyes, as if he remembered something. Wang Chunling saw it and continued. That educated youth was her former fiancé. They have an ambiguous relationship. The entire village knows about it. Jie Yucheng's face visibly took on a layer of coldness, a clear sign of impending fury. But instead of being afraid, Wang Chunling secretly smirked. This is the reaction a man should have. However, Jie Yucheng suddenly smiled. I trust my wife. Wang Chunling was speechless. Look at her seductive appearance. She acts flirtatious every day. She's not a decent person at all. Shut up! Jie Yucheng's sharply defined jaw was tense. He stared coldly at Wang Chunling. You are deliberately driving a wedge between me and my wife. You are clearly harboring malicious intentions. As a regiment commander, I now suspect your identity and believe you may have been bribed. Wang Chunling's face turned pale with fear. You? What do you mean? If she was suspected of being a spy and taken in for questioning, her life would be ruined. The man's dark eyes were full of indifference. I mean exactly what you think. Just then, a sweet, cheerful voice rang out. Jie Yucheng, I'm making you a big meal tonight. Qin Nian's smile was as bright as a flower. This man was not only handsome, but also exceptionally sensible and fair-minded. That alone made the scumbag Yang Yunchuan pale in comparison. Jie Yucheng looked up at Qin Nian, not understanding why she was changing the subject. Qin Nian smiled faintly. Thank you for your trust. Leave the rest to me. After speaking, she raised her hand and directly slapped Wang Chunling. You said I was a vixen? Wang Chunling's features became contorted. You dare hit me! She raised her hand to strike Qin Nian's face. Jie Yucheng's anxious, worried voice came from behind. Qin Nian, be careful! He believed Wang Chunling, who danced regularly, had the physical strength, and the delicate Qin Nian would not be her match. Hearing Jie Yucheng's tense warning, Qin Nian's eyes flashed. Her soft body quickly dodged Wang Chunling. Missing her target, Wang Chunling lost her balance and fell awkwardly to the ground. Qin Nian squatted down, the smile on her face not reaching her eyes. Apologize to me. Wang Chunling immediately burst into tears, crying so loudly that anyone who didn't know better would think Qin Nian was bullying her. Nurse Liu Qi, hearing the noise, rushed in and asked what was wrong. Wang Chunling's crying immediately stopped. She looked up, revealing the clear handprint on both sides of her face. Sister Liu, hurry and call someone. This woman actually hit me. Liu Qie looked at the composed Qin Nian and the cold, expressionless Jie Yucheng. She stepped forward to help Wang Chunling off the ground, asking what exactly had happened. Wang Chunling immediately started shouting that Qin Nian was a vixen and shameless. Liu Qie quickly withdrew her hand upon hearing this. Bang! The woman fell to the ground again. Liu Qie quickly smoothed the wispy strands of silver hair around her ear. Sorry, I suddenly remembered someone in the next ward needs an IV drip. Without waiting for the reaction of the 3 people in the room, she fled the ward as if her life depended on it. What a joke. In this era, who dared to watch the drama of the prestigious old Xie family? Xie Yucheng was the Xie family's only son. How could the Xi family possibly allow him to marry an impure girl? Wang Chunling on the ground was still anxiously calling out, "Sister Liu, help me. I want to expose her promiscuous true colors." Liu Kui's face turned pale as she was about to leave. She looked nervously at the corridor outside. Seeing no one, she closed the door, then turned back and looked sternly at Wang Chunling. "You can't just spout nonsense like that. How important is a woman's innocence? If you say that about Comrade Chen Yan, how is she supposed to live?" Wang Chunling quickly climbed up from the ground. "It's true. Qin Yan's reputation was already ruined in the village. They say she hooked up with men everywhere." Liu Kuei didn't know what to say to her. She could only look at the other two, asking what they planned to do. Qin Yan also noticed that Liu Kuei's attitude was strange. She found out from Xie Yucheng that he and her husband were among the few people in the camp who knew his true identity. Just then, Le Kuei spoke. "Regiment Commander Xi, Comrade Qin Yan, what do you want to do about this?" Xie Yucheng called out toward the door. "AGU!" The tightly closed door was pushed open from the outside. AGU, holding a basin of rice, walked in, expressionlessly. Xie Yucheng pointed at Wang Chunling. "Take her away, find out what happened." Wang Chunling's family background was ordinary, so it was unlikely she could investigate Qin Yan's situation in such a short time. It was hard not to suspect that someone had told her something. AGU walked into the room, placed the basin of rice on the table, and without waiting for Wang Chunling's protests, he covered her mouth and forcibly led her out of the room. Liu Kuei also took the opportunity to say goodbye and leave. In the quiet room, Xie Yucheng and Qin Yan stared at each other. The man abruptly asked a question. "Are you still in contact with young Yunchuan?" The smile on Qin Yan's face faded. "What do you mean? 3 months ago, your second uncle said you had a fiancé, and the Qin family would marry your cousin to me. They mentioned the educated youth named Yang Yunchuan in the telegram, saying you were in love with each other." Qin Yan's fair face was instantly clouded with a frosty expression. Her second uncle's family was truly painstakingly manipulative. She sat on the hospital bed and explained, "I have no relationship with young Yunchuan. The talk of marriage before was because someone in the village spread rumors that I was dating him. At that time, my second uncle said Qin Baozhu would marry into the Xie family. It just so happened that my family asked if I was willing to marry Yang Yunchuan. I thought, who cares who I marry? So I nodded and agreed." Xie Yucheng suddenly turned his head, staring intensely at the calm-faced Qin Yan. A wave of emotion, named jealousy, enveloped him. If Qin Baozhu hadn't suddenly regretted the marriage, Qin Yan would have married that educated youth, and they would have missed each other. Fortunately, there were no what-ifs. A mocking smile appeared on Xie Yucheng's face. "Your second uncle said you were in love. My father sent someone to inquire. Only after confirming the news did he decide to let me marry your cousin. He wasn't stupid. He already understood the calculations of the Qin second uncle's family. To say they weren't involved behind the scenes would be ridiculous." Qin Yan's expression grew more surprised. She hadn't expected the Xie family to value her so much that they decided to marry Qin Baozhu only after confirming she was already in love with someone else. Thinking this, she suppressed the surging emotions in her heart. "It seems we are quite fated. After all the detours, we still ended up together." Xie Yucheng didn't speak. He lowered his eyes to look at the reddened hand in Qin Yan's palm. He took it and brought it to his mouth, gently blowing on it. "Don't hit people in the future. It's not worth hurting yourself. If anyone bullies you, I'll take care of it." After saying this possessive declaration, Xie Yucheng blew on Qin Yan's hand again. Qin Yan stared at the man whose brows were earnest and filled with pity. An unfamiliar emotion sprouted in her heart. Their eyes met, and a hazy, ambiguous atmosphere intertwined in the air. Xie Yucheng's gaze fell on Qin Yan's slightly parted red lips, and he slowly lowered his head. They were getting closer and closer, so close that they could clearly feel each other's breath. Suddenly, Qin Yan spoke. "Xie Yucheng, did you brush your teeth today?" The question made Xie Yucheng's heart seize up. "Yes, I did. Why do you ask if I brushed my teeth?" Qin Yan withdrew her hand, finding a casual excuse. "I was afraid you might have bad breath." With that, she picked up the tidied things in her hand. She waved at Xie Yucheng. "The rice is on the table. Remember to eat it. I'm leaving now." "I'll bring you a big gift tonight." The man was a little puzzled. "What big gift?" Qin Nian smiled. "You'll know when the time comes." Watching Qin Nian disappear from sight, he had a hunch that she was up to something. In the evening, the ward door was knocked, and AGU returned with a furious expression. Xie Yucheng looked at him calmly. "What did you find out?" AGU gritted his teeth in anger. "It was our deputy regiment commander Zhao Yongqiang's wife, Sun Yuzhen. She told Wang Chunling these things. She knew Wang Chunling had feelings for you, and said that if she ruined sister-in-law's reputation, Wang Chunling would have a chance. If Qin Nian were rumored to be having an improper relationship, she would be drowned in the public's saliva. Yi Yuqing, as her husband, would be equally shamed. Furthermore, the camp was currently spreading rumors that Xie Yucheng was severely injured and incurable. Once he fell, the position of 1st Regiment Commander would be replaced by the Deputy Regiment Commander. However, Xie Yucheng pondered for a moment and shook his head. Although he was skilled in calculations, he would never resort to such despicable tactics behind the scenes. Agu's thick, dark eyebrows furrowed tightly. How should we handle this? Xie Yucheng gently exhaled a breath of stale air. Wait for Zhao Yongqiang to come back. Tell him the whole story truthfully. Don't exaggerate. A man should discipline his own wife. He believed Zhao Yongqiang would take action. That night, Zhao Yongqiang came to the hospital with some items to visit Xie Yucheng. When he entered the room, Xie Yucheng was sitting up in bed, flipping through a foreign language book. Zhao Yongqiang opened his mouth with sarcasm. They all said you were half dead and sickly, but your complexion looks great. Xie Yucheng looked back at Zhao Yongqiang. Not as good as you, healthy and disaster-free, but so greedy for profit every day that you can't even manage your own home. Zhao Yongqiang was instantly enraged. When have I ever been greedy for profit? You little brat talks nonsense. He slammed the items in his hand onto the table with a loud bang. Xie Yucheng looked at the shaking table, his lips twitching. This didn't look like an apology. It looked more like he was looking for trouble, but he didn't get angry. Tell me, what did your wife confess? Hearing this, Zhao Yongqiang's momentum instantly vanished. She's just a woman. She heard some gossip and stirred up trouble. I already disciplined her when I came. If she dares to talk nonsense again, I'll divorce her. Xie Yucheng's eyes immediately sharpened. Who did she hear it from? Zhao Yongqiang rubbed his crew cut, sounding uncertain. It seemed like someone said it when we were eating in the mess hall. I'm not sure about the specifics. Should I go back and ask? Xie Yucheng knew immediately that Sun Yuzhen was lying. The mess hall was mostly used by soldiers. Family members rarely ate there. Zhao Yongqiang saw his expression change. What's wrong? Is there something going on here? Xie Yucheng only shook his head. No need to ask. Just tell your wife not to speak carelessly in the future. Qin Nian comes from a family of doctors. She was held to high expectations since childhood. She studied medicine, knows little of worldly affairs, and her heart is quite pure. She shouldn't be affected by such rumors. Zhao Yongqiang's focus was elsewhere. Your wife is really a doctor? I heard this news a couple of days ago. They also said your wife can cure you, praising her like a modern Hua Tuo. He then stared at Xie Yucheng's left leg, covered by the quilt. Can it really be cured? Xie Yucheng spoke in a relaxed tone. Maybe we can have a match next month. Zhao Yongqiang's eyes widened, his face full of disbelief. Just then, Qin Nian's smiling voice came from the door. Am I interrupting you? As she walked into the ward, an enticing aroma wafted into both men's noses. Zhao Yongqiang turned around and saw a beautiful woman walking in. Whose rich daughter is this? Why is she here? By the time Qin Nian placed the 3 lunchboxes on the table, Zhao Yongqiang instantly realized. This must be the sister-in-law. Hello, hello. I'm Regiment Commander Xie's comrade, Zhao Yongqiang. The girl smiled faintly at him. Hello, my name is Qin Nian. Have you eaten? Would you like to join us? Zhao Yongqiang was about to decline, but the enticing aroma filling the air made him hesitate. Not yet. Then I will intrude. Xie Yucheng's face was full of displeasure upon hearing this. Hurry up and go, there's no food for you here. Zhao Yongqiang was thick-skinned. Sister-in-law invited me to eat. Qin Nian was serving the rice on the side, ignoring the bickering between the two. She also scooped a bowl of rice for Zhao Yongqiang. The meal tonight was a generous spread of 4 dishes and 1 soup. However, Xie Yucheng stared at the pigeon leg meat in his bowl and said nothing. Zhao Yongqing and Jie Chong were old partners. He could tell what was going on with just a look. I didn't hear that our mess hall has pigeon meat. The commissary doesn't seem to have this either. After speaking, he subtly glanced at Qin Nian, who was sitting on the stool and handling the silver needles. Qin Nian looked up, smiled faintly, but did not speak. Xie Yucheng saw the deeply hidden amusement in her eyes. He suddenly remembered Qin Nian saying she would give him a big gift during the day. Where did this pigeon come from? Qin Nian put down the silver needles in her hand and took out something wrapped in red toilet paper from the cloth bag beside her. The toilet paper was opened, revealing a small, rectangular camera inside. What is that? Xie Yucheng and Zhao Yongqing both spoke at the same time, their expressions stern. Their bodies exuded a fierce, intimidating aura, and their eyes were fixed on the object in Qin Nian's hand. The girl had only taken out a camera, but the 2 regiment commanders were nearly wetting their pants. Even the highest-ranking division commander in the camp rushed over immediately, abandoning his training. The reason was, in the material-scarce 1970s, cameras were only owned by foreign hostile forces. Therefore, Xie Yucheng immediately asked AGU to invite Director Luo and the political commissar. He then looked at Qin Nian, who was holding the silver needle. Quote, "This type of camera usually relies on carrier pigeons for photography. Could this bowl of pigeon soup?" Qin Nian's voice was calm. "The carrier pigeon is still alive. I've locked it in a cage at home." After speaking, she shook the silver needle a few times, signaling that she was ready to start the acupuncture. Xie Yucheng, however, looked directly at Qin Nian, showing no intention of cooperating. Zhao Yongqiang stood up and walked over. "Sister-in-law, why don't I go back with you? We can bring the pigeon over." Xie Yucheng instantly turned his head. "You go yourself. That's my credit." Zhao Yongqiang was, of course, very excited. "Then I'm going." After speaking, seeing that Qin Nian did not object, he turned and left, afraid that if he delayed a moment longer, he would regret it. Only Xie Yucheng and Qin Nian remained in the ward. The man was the first to break the silence. He reached out his hand to Qin Nian, pulled her to sit on the hospital bed, and put on a proper smile. "Thank you for taking care of me during this time. I also really like tonight's big gift. Is there anything you want?" The man's gentle eyes were full of sincerity, but Qin Nian felt a chill in her heart. She instinctively felt that Xie Yucheng was calculating something. "I want a lot of things. Are you sure you can give them all to me?" A flicker of darkness crossed Xie Yucheng's eyes. "Anything you want? I will satisfy you." Qin Nian tilted her head, looking innocent. "Then I want a child." The perfect mask on Xie Yucheng's face instantly cracked. He took a deep breath, asking her to choose something else. He knew he couldn't have children in this lifetime. If Qin Nian wanted a child, it meant either cheating on him or divorcing him, and he wouldn't accept either. Seeing the man's expression, Fian wasn't surprised. "Don't go down the sentimental road. Just ask whatever you want to ask directly." Xie Yucheng looked slightly awkward. "You discovered the pigeon was problematic long ago?" Qin Nian nodded. "It hovered above my head every day with something hanging on its chest. It would be strange if there wasn't a problem." As she answered, she helped Xie Yucheng take off his top. The man cooperated without resistance and casually picked up the small camera on the table. "You recognize this thing, don't you?" Qin Nian spoke plainly. "I saw a similar camera, but many times larger, at a photo studio." As she spoke, she rolled up Xie Cheng's pant legs. The man did not speak again until she finished the acupuncture. After the treatment, a lying Xie Yucheng asked the final question. "How did you know about the carrier pigeon? And how did you know this camera was important?" Someone who was completely ignorant would not immediately suspect the pigeon. They might have dismantled the camera out of curiosity or just thrown it away. Pigeon meat was much more appealing than a black plastic box. Qin Nian smiled and pulled a chair closer. "When my grandfather was young, he traveled all over the country and told me many interesting stories, including incidents of disaster and victory cheers caused by carrier pigeons." This was the draft answer Qin Nian had prepared in her mind after realizing Xie Yucheng was suspicious of her. Just then, the ward door was violently pushed open. Director Luo and a middle-aged man rushed into the room. "We heard a small spy was caught. Where is he?" Xie Yucheng simply recounted the events. After finishing, he patted the back of Qin Nian's hand. "Give them the things on the table." Political Commissar Liu, wearing glasses, took the objects and examined them. His face suddenly showed intense excitement. "Old Luo, this is a small foreign-made camera. The design is very clever, and the precision machinery inside is still rotating. It has immense research value." Director Luo didn't understand the high-tech gadget but knew its importance from the tone. Lu Zhenwei excitedly continued, "This matter must be reported to the capital immediately. It would be best to send the device to the research institute. It will surely be a great help to our scientific research." He then stared intently at Qin Nian. "Little comrade, is that pigeon still alive?" "It's alive. I brought it." Zhao Yangcheng rushed into the ward, covered in sweat, holding the cage. The gray pigeon was still flapping wildly, looking very vigorous. Director Luo and Political Commissar Liu quickly left with the pigeon. Queen Nian finished the needles for Xie Yucheng and then left humming a little tune. AGU personally escorted her to the bottom of the hospital building. When he returned, he heard Xie Yucheng on the bed. "Send someone to monitor Sun Yuzhen. See who she's been in contact with recently. Don't alert her. Report any findings immediately." AGU was an expert in intelligence, having received professional training and personally assigned to Xie Yucheng by the Xie family. Zi Yucheng rubbed his slightly furrowed brow. "Any news from Jiangjiang?" AGU shook his head. "Not yet, but it should be in the next few days." The man didn't ask if the use of Patading had been stopped. The elder Xi had issued a command to suspend its use immediately after receiving the news. After saying this, AGU dusted off his hands. "Regiment Commander, do you truly trust sister-in-law from the bottom of your heart?" Just one sentence from Qin Nian, relaying the message to the capital, made the Xi family exert effort to stop the use of Patading. The implications are not trivial, and the pressure on the Xie family is considerable. Xie Yucheng pinched the bridge of his nose and said earnestly, "Qin Nian's situation is complicated. There are many contradictions. Don't let her trick information out of you usually." AGU pointed out, "The questions sister-in-law asks me are mostly about you." Xie Yucheng's face stiffened slightly. The curve of his smile was strongly suppressed, but a few hints of it still showed through. After a few days of treatment, Xie Yucheng was improving daily. This day, before Qin Nian left, she looked at the man lying on the hospital bed with a complex expression. Her gaze slowly shifted down from his merman line. She had done research on men's health. Next, it was time for this part. The potent medicine had accumulated in his body. If the medicinal effects were not released quickly, it might cause problems. Therefore, after the treatment the next day, she did not leave directly as usual. "Today's treatment isn't over yet. I'm going to the nurse to get something. Wait here." The man's deep, low voice replied, "Okay," carrying a compelling charisma. Not long after Qin Nian left, the door was violently pushed open. Xie Yucheng opened his cold eyes. "You'd better have something important to say." He was like a restless leopard disturbed during a spring mating season, a state of urgent need with no outlet for release. Aga's face tightened first. Then he quickly walked to the bedside, lowering his voice. "Word has come. Over 90% of the addicts in the slum area there are using Patading as a drug." Xie Yucheng's pale, thin lips twisted. His eyes and brows were filled with stern coldness. Suddenly he asked, "According to the Xie family's investigation, Qin Nian has never left Yancheng. How did she know about the outbreak of Patading in Xiangjiang? If she hadn't firmly objected and stopped me from taking it, I might have become addicted by now." AGU looked thoughtful. "That's what puzzles me too. Could sister-in-law be clairvoyant?" Xie Yucheng glanced at him with a meaningful tone. "If she could predict the future, she wouldn't have chosen to marry me." To him, Qin Nian was a little lamb full of mystery and contradictions. If he could only grasp her vital weakness, he could devour her alive. AGU, misunderstanding his true meaning, defended her. "It's a good thing for sister-in-law to marry you. She'll have a life of comfort. You know how many high-status ladies in the capital want to marry you?" A smiling voice suddenly came from behind. Qin Nian looked at AGU with interest. "Let me hear it too. How many people are eyeing this tasty treat, Xie Yucheng?" Agu's body stiffened on the spot. "Oh, my big mouth is just spouting nonsense. I was just talking nonsense. Sister-in-law, please don't take it to heart." He then turned and rushed out the door. Qin Yan chuckled, looking at the man on the bed. Take off your clothes. It's time to check that thing now. The treatment process went smoothly. The next morning, as she arrived at the hospital corridor, she witnessed a scene that stunned her. Xie Yucheng, leaning on a medical crutch with one hand, struggled towards the ward, holding a porcelain wash basin containing a wrung-out white bedsheet. Qin Yan rushed to Xie Yucheng's front. Why are you out of bed? Do you not want your leg anymore? Xie Yucheng, caught in the act, tensed his face. The hand holding the porcelain basin tried to hide it behind him. Qin Yan snatched the basin, glancing at the bleached white bedsheet inside. Can't you wash the sheet any other time? Why choose this moment to mess around? Your leg needs 2 more days before you can put weight on it. Using force now will cause you excruciating pain. Xie Yucheng guiltily looked at the bedsheet in Qin Yan's hand, confirming that the remaining evidence had been washed clean. Only then did he sigh in relief and apologize quickly, not daring to meet Qin Yan's eyes. After last night's treatment, Qin Yan had told him to take care of the problem himself. He didn't want to sleep like that, but his dreams were filled with images of his wife. In the morning, the sheets were soaked. To avoid being discovered, he gritted his teeth and struggled to the washroom to wash the sheet. Qin Yan gave Xie Yucheng a cold side-eye. You better not let there be a next time. She helped the man back to the ward with a stern face. The two fell into a cold war, one sulking and the other feeling guilty. It wasn't until Xie Yucheng had finished his herbal soup and the acupuncture was complete that Qin Yan sat by the bed with a notebook and pen. How many times last night, and what was the duration? Xie Yucheng's writing motion froze, and his breathing became erratic. He had been so bewitched by the Qin Yan in his dream that he couldn't possibly remember the number of times. After thinking, he forced a calm voice. Twice, about an hour. This was his estimate based on past experiences. Qin Yan's pen-holding hand paused, then she continued to record as if nothing happened. 3 minutes later, she rubbed the bridge of her nose and asked the last question. Have you had a conjugal life before? Xie Yucheng's face instantly turned ashen. If you hadn't left me alone here last night, maybe I could give you a detailed account of the actual process. Qin Yan blinked her long, slightly upturned eyelashes. It took her a moment to understand the man's meaning. The corner of her eye flashed with a captivating redness. She lowered her head and drew a large red cross in the notebook. So, he's still a virgin. The remark, neither light nor heavy, clearly reached Xie Yucheng's ears, and he sensed a hint of disdain. However, seeing Qin Yan's ears turning so red they were almost bleeding, the man's anger dissipated. He subtly observed the outwardly composed Qin Yan. The more he looked at Qin Yan, the more she seemed like a little lamb wearing a fox's skin. Qin Yan didn't notice, her head still down. To be safe, you'll have to rely on your own 2 hands for the next 3 days. If there are no further issues, it means a complete recovery. She then took out a bottle of ointment. This is the ointment you used yesterday. It should be enough for the next few days. Xie Yucheng's face darkened, finding the bottle an eyesore. Did he really have to resort to that? But the next moment, he suddenly broke into a meaningful smile. He took the bottle, his smile deepening. He looked forward to the day he would genuinely use this bottle of medicine, curious about what expression Qin Yan's face would show then. Time passed quickly, and soon it was time for Xie Yucheng to get out of bed. Under Qin Yan's watch, Xie Yucheng went from initially unsteady steps to walking smoothly for more than 10 rounds. It wasn't until his body started to heat up and his forehead showed signs of sweating that Qin Yan ordered him to stop. He sat on the stool, steadying his breath, and drank a few mouthfuls of water from the cup on the table. The joy he felt was indescribable. Qin Yan propped her chin on her hand, smiling as she watched the man. So happy that you can walk? Happy. I couldn't have stood up without you. Every word was spoken with deep sincerity. Qin Yan was also very happy. Curing Xie Yucheng meant she had secured a valuable connection. Xie Yucheng secretly observed Qin Yan. From her bright, flirtatious eyes, he guessed she was plotting something. He rubbed the rim of the water cup and spoke solemnly. News has come from Shangjiang. Kongna Patading is indeed very problematic. Qin Yan's eyes sparkled. Will it be banned? She was filled with a secret anticipation. Being set up by her cousin and saving the seemingly crippled Xie Yucheng had not given the reborn Qin Nian much peace of mind. She urgently wanted to change the trajectory of certain events from her previous life, to prove that in this life she could alter her destiny. Xie Yucheng nodded. Your warning was very timely, otherwise this drug would have been widely used. Qin Nian's tense body completely relaxed. I just mentioned it casually. The main thing is that you took it seriously. You must have put a lot of effort into it behind the scenes. Now, she had saved the innocent people who were poisoned by the drug in her previous life, and she had confirmed that she could use her knowledge of the future to avert fixed tragedies. Qin Yan did not take credit, discussing the matter as an observer. This made Xie Yucheng feel even more that she was hiding something. Just as he wanted to delve deeper, there was an urgent knock on the door. Lu Xiu pushed the door open, her voice anxious. Qin Yan! Political Commissar Liu's youngest son broke his arm! He's unconscious and his breathing is weak. He's fading fast. He's in the emergency room. Hurry and go look. Qin Yan shot up instantly and followed Lu Xiu quickly to the emergency room. After they left, Xie Yucheng slowly stood up, walking with difficulty towards the ward door. In the emergency room, a woman in a blue cloth shirt was kneeling by the bed, weeping while holding the small boy's hand. Several women onlookers looked on with pity, whispering words of comfort. Just then, Lu Xiu rushed in, pulling Qin Nian's hand. The people in the room quickly cleared a path. Qin Nian smoothly reached the bedside and began her examination. Internal organs are bruised and bleeding, the arm bone is dislocated, pushing the joint and almost breaking the skin. Qin Nian's pupils contracted. She pulled out a few silver needles from her person and quickly inserted them into the boy's facial acupoints. She then turned to Lu Xiu and said urgently, I don't have enough needles on me. Please go to the ward and bring my acupuncture bag. Lu Xiu nodded, pushed through the crowd, and hurried out. Qin Yan prepared to set the boy's injured arm back in place. Suddenly, a voice stopped her. Wait! A plump military wife looked at Qin Yan with suspicion. Are you the new doctor? This is the only child of Political Commissar Liu's family. Don't mess up the child. Qin Yan's eyes, filled with chilling coldness, snapped towards her. Are you the doctor, or am I the doctor? If you don't understand, shut up and stop interfering. She knew these people, judged by appearance. She ignored the crowd, bowing her head to continue checking the boy's injuries. But the plump military wife was relentless. She walked up to Political Commissar Liu's wife. This girl doesn't look reliable. Don't let her harm the child. Others chimed in. Who sticks so many needles right away? Who knows if she'll puncture the child and cause trouble? The grief-stricken wife of the political commissar raised her head blankly, looking helplessly at the people advising her. Qin Yan looked at the troublemakers and raised her voice. This is the emergency room. Everyone, keep quiet. The plump military wife was not intimidated. She pouted. Why are you shouting? You have no skill but want to show off. If the child suffers misfortune because of your meddling, let's see if you can take responsibility. At that moment, Lu Xiu arrived with the acupuncture bag. Hearing the words, she quickly shouted, What are you clamoring about? Xiao Qin comes from a reputable medical family, and she is Regiment Commander Xie's wife? The statement instantly silenced the plump military wife and the others. Lu Xiu ignored them, squeezing to the bedside and putting the 2 acupuncture bags into Qin Yan's hands. How is the situation? Not good, but he can be saved. With that, Qin Yan took a silver needle from the bag and quickly inserted it into an acupoint beneath the boy's thumb, pressing down. Suddenly, someone gasped in excitement. Look, the child is awake. The plump military wife looked utterly confused, wondering if it was a lucky coincidence. This time, no one seconded her words, but their eyes were still half skeptical. Just then, Xie Yucheng's voice came from the doorway. Nian, are you done? I'm here to pick you up. The man's cold eyes scanned the people in the room. As their hearts inexplicably tightened, his gaze returned to Qin Yan. I waited for you for a long time. I came to get you when you didn't return. The people in the room looked at the suddenly appearing Xie Yucheng. They subconsciously looked at his face, then at his long legs. He didn't look like a crippled invalid at all. His presence was clearly more imposing than before, making it hard to breathe. Xie Yucheng stood next to Qin Yan, looking down at Liu Jinbao lying on the bed. Been naughty again. Be a good boy in the future, okay? Okay. Liu Jinbao seemed to fear him and nodded obediently. Li Xiaohong saw her son wake up and immediately abandoned her hysterical distress. She quickly bowed to Qin Yan and thanks. Thank you, thank you. If anything had happened to Bao, I wouldn't have been able to live. Qin Yan helped the political commissar's wife up with both hands. Sister-in-law, please don't be so polite. My family's medical skills have been passed down for generations. It is the duty of a healer to save the sick and help the injured. Li Xiaohong wasn't good with fancy words, just continuously thanked Qin Yan until Lu Ziyu, who had finished splinting Li Jinbao's arm with a wooden board, pulled Li Xiaohong away and instructed her on how to care for the child. This slightly eased Qin Yan's awkwardness. She looked at Xie Yucheng's leg. Does your leg not hurt? It's fine, Xie Yucheng replied concisely. The plump military wife nearby asked curiously, Regiment Commander Xie, is your leg cured? Xie Yucheng's manner was distant, but he spoke clearly. Yes, it is. I'll be able to return to the team soon. The plump military wife was unconvinced. Really cured? No lasting disability? Xie Yucheng's smile grew even gentler. He walked a circle in the room, his steps confident and steady, as if he had completely recovered. Someone else was curious. Who cured this leg? Xie Yucheng lowered his jaw and slightly raised his head. My Nian Nian is a little miracle doctor. If it weren't for her, I'm afraid I'd be using a crutch for the rest of my life. At this, the way everyone looked at Qin Yan instantly changed. Having such a miracle doctor in the military means everyone could benefit. Thinking this, they crowded around Qin Yan, wanting to get closer to her. Qin Yan, however, quickly pulled Xie Yucheng out of the emergency room. But as soon as they returned to the ward, Xie Yucheng's face quickly turned pale. Why were you showing off? Your leg just got out of bed, and you act so recklessly. Qin Yan helped Xie Yucheng to sit on the hospital bed, then squatted down and rolled up his left pant leg. Sure enough, the wound, which had already healed, was now red and swollen from prolonged, forced use. Xie Yucheng looked at Qin Yan crouching in front of him. I just couldn't stand them bullying you. Hearing this, Qin Yan looked up, meeting Xie Yucheng's serious eyes. Where was the bullying? I treated them like air. It's you who is stubbornly enduring the pain. Qin Yan pulled a stool from under the bed and sat down, applying a layer of ointment to Xie Yucheng's left leg injury. His movements were too gentle. Xie Yucheng couldn't bear it several times, and his leg twitched slightly. Qin Yan thought he was in pain. Her red lips moved closer to the injury and gently blew on it. This action sent a shiver through the man's entire body, and goosebumps rose on his skin. He took a deep breath and pulled Qin Yan down from the stool. Qin Yan blinked, surprised. What is it? Xie Cheng finally couldn't help but voice his thought. Given the current situation, can we go home now? Qin Yan instinctively refused. Isn't it too soon? Discharging him meant cohabiting with Xie Yucheng. She wasn't ready yet. Qin Yan pretended to be considering his well-being. You just got back on your feet. For the sake of subsequent recovery, it's better to stay for a few more days. Xie Yucheng looked at Qin Yan's tightly clenched hand, his eyebrow raised. She didn't want him to go home. Thinking this, he softened his voice. Then I'll go back in 2 days. Qin Yan sighed in relief, slowly releasing her tightly clenched hand. Xie Yucheng saw her subtle actions, a hint of playful amusement surfacing in the depths of his eyes. Suddenly, he reached out and took the girl's hand. We are already husband and wife, so we will live together sooner or later. I hope you can prepare for it quickly. Qin Yan instantly realized her little secret had been exposed. She held her breath, shook off Xie Yucheng's hand, and awkwardly got up to tidy the things on the table. Seeing Qin Yan take everything out of the cupboard and place it neatly on the table, Xie Yucheng's heart sank. What was she doing? Qin Yan didn't look up, her voice both sweet and fierce. I'm packing. We're going home together. It was already afternoon when they got home. The two slumped exhausted onto the main sofa. Qin Yan suddenly spoke. The medicine I brought from home is almost used up. I want to go into Tianying Ridge to find some medicinal herbs. Xie Yucheng's 2 eyebrows drew tightly together. It's too dangerous. What medicinal herbs do you need? Write me a list, and I'll have AGU go buy them. Qin Yan shook her head faintly. They can't be bought. The age and medicinal properties of the herbs must be strictly controlled. But Xie Yucheng's attitude remained firm. No, Tianying Ridge is too dangerous. You're a young girl. You won't be able to handle the harsh environment in the mountains. Qinyan knew his concern wasn't about the mountain environment, but the more chaotic dangers deep within the mountains. She lowered her voice and pleaded sweetly. I know the mountain is dangerous. I'll just stick to the periphery, find some fresh herbs, and come right back. Her luscious red lips opened and closed, staring pitifully at Xie Yucheng. Although he knew she was putting on an act, Xie Yucheng's resolve began to weaken. If you truly want to go into the mountains, you must let Agu accompany you. I can. Qinyan immediately beamed, her beautiful face taking on an added glow. But at night, she wasn't smiling anymore. Qinyan had thought that since the man's leg was inconvenient, nothing could happen even on the same bed. Xie Yucheng, however, didn't seem to think so. He lay down beside her very naturally, supporting himself on his elbow, firmly pinning Qinyan beneath him. Qinyan's voice instantly became unsteady. Why are you so close to me? Xie Yucheng leaned his upper body closer, his eyes dark as he stared at Qinyan's startled face. He only touched her collar, his intention obvious. Qinyan's eyes widened in fear. Your leg isn't healed yet. We need to take this slowly. I think it's fine. Xie Yucheng's greedy eyes seemed to devour her fair, creamy complexion. She nervously swallowed. Give me some time. Xie Yucheng curved his lips into a teasing smile. Half a month isn't enough? He grabbed her 2 hands with one hand, forcefully pinning them to the pillowcase above her head. We are husband and wife. Sharing a bed is perfectly legitimate. Every word landed heavily on Qinyan's heart. This man's intention was clear. Was she really going to surrender tonight? Qinyan didn't exactly resist intimacy. She was just afraid of pain. Xie Yucheng noticed her body slightly trembling. The teasing look in his eyes faded. He loosened his grip on her slender wrist. Are you scared? Qinyan rolled her eyes in her heart. How could I not be scared? Look how terrifying your eyes are. But she forced a flattering smile, just about to say something gentle to discourage Xie Yucheng's impulse, when the man directly rolled off her, casually pulling the slipped silk quilt up over her. I know you're brave, but some things require reverence. Deepening Ridge has strangely shaped ancient trees and many venomous creatures and fierce beasts. It is truly dangerous inside, Qinyan finally realized. This man was purely trying to scare her just now. Her beautiful eyes widened slightly. You say all that, but you just don't trust me. Xie Yucheng didn't deny it. Venturing deep into the forest could be fatal. Qinyan, tucked under the quilt, whispered, Didn't you tell Agu to accompany me? Xie Yucheng stared at his injured left leg. My legs are currently inconvenient. Otherwise, I wouldn't let Agu go with you. Remember not to go deep into the forest tomorrow. If you can't find the herbs, just come back. We'll figure out another way. Got it. You're so long-winded. Knowing Xie Yucheng was just trying to scare her, Qinyan was no longer afraid of him, and her tone was much more casual. Xie Yucheng placed his palm on her head, gently rubbing her hair. Sleep. At the foot of Deepening Ridge, a treacherous place, Qinyan and Agu walked for a long time, until the ancient trees overhead blocked out the sun. Agu's eyes moved slightly, and he spoke up to stop her. Sister-in-law, we can't go any further. Qinyan stopped in place and surveyed the surrounding environment. Based on the environment and soil moisture, the medicinal herbs she was looking for were nearby. Thinking this, she said, I'll wander around here, you take a rest first. With that, she walked towards the moss-covered ground with her bamboo basket on her back. Agu did not stay put. He followed her closely, never leaving her side. Before long, Qinyan found a few of the desired herbs. Judging by their age, they were at least 50 or 60 years old. She knelt on the ground, carefully using a tool to dig up the herb roots, unwilling to damage even a single tiny root. Half an hour later, having finally dug up a few precious herbs, Qinyan spoke decisively. Based on the shade we are in, there should be a sun-drenched slope base nearby. There is one? Agu thought for a moment, then pointed eastward. There's a slope there. It's only a few hundred meters away, but the path is not easy to walk. Qinyan smiled in satisfaction, adjusted her bamboo basket, and walked straight east. Then let's go check it out. Agu saw her determination and, believing there was no danger in that direction, led the way. Unfortunately, plans can't keep up with changes, Before the two reached the slope, deafening gunshots rang out, followed by the sharp squealing of a wild beast. Agu quickly tensed his body, leaping in front of Qin Nian. He took the loaded gun from his back. "Sister-in-law, don't be afraid. Someone is probably hunting." "I'm not afraid." Qin Nian listened with tilted ears to the rustling sound coming from a distance. Something was running their way. Qin Nian listened carefully, and the next moment her eyes narrowed sharply. "Agu, quick, climb a tree!" She turned and ran towards the nearest ancient tree, scrambling up several meters in a few quick movements. She turned back to see Agu standing there blankly. Qin Nian looked down and yelled, "Quick, climb a tree!" Agu's face changed, and he immediately ran to the tree on the left. Just as he climbed the tree, a pack of wild boars with sharp tusks came charging in. The next moment, another gunshot rang out. One wild boar was hit and screamed mournfully, scaring the rest of the herd, which turned red-eyed and scattered, frantically attacking everything around them. Qin Nian tightly hugged the tree trunk, coldly watching the wild boars crash into the tree. Just then, a cheerful teenage voice came from the ground. "Over there!" Looking down, she saw several teenagers, about 10 years old, in her field of vision. She immediately shouted a warning. "Quick, climb a tree!" But the boys were staring at the wild boars with shining eyes and wouldn't listen to Qin Nian. One of them, carrying a hunting rifle, aimed at the wild boar charging towards them. Bang! Another wild boar fell. Before the boys could cheer, the herd of wild boars swarmed towards them. Seeing this, Qin Nian immediately grabbed a branch and leaped off, her body dangling lightly in the air. "Quick, climb a tree!" she shouted again. The deafening roar not only startled the boys, but it also drew the attention of the wild boars. Qin Nian, holding the branch and swinging in the air, kicked a tree trunk on the opposite side, gracefully switching to another tree. Her movements were too big, causing the herbs in her bamboo basket to fall to the ground. Seeing the herbs about to be destroyed under the boars' hooves, Qin Nian disregarded the danger, released the secured branch, and leaped down. Her feet landed on the ground. Seeing this, Agu immediately opened fire, emptying his clip and killing the wild boars closest to her. Then he saw Qin Nian pick up the herbs, toss them into the bamboo basket, and climb up the nearest tree as fast as she could. She didn't have time to soothe her rapidly beating heart. She took out several silver needles from her person and flicked them at the space above the wild boars' eyes. The boars fell and rolled over one after another, emitting sharp screams. Finally, only one wild boar was left, charging wildly. Qin Nian looked at the few teenagers in the opposite tree, exasperated. "What are you staring at? Shoot it!" The boy with the hunting rifle was startled by the shouting, his hands and feet fumbling. Clang! The hunting rifle dropped to the ground in his confusion. The wild boar immediately turned its head and charged the tree where the boys were perched. The boys instantly embraced each other and burst into tears. Qin Nian was furious. "Now you know how to be scared. What were you doing earlier?" She looked at Agu in the tree diagonally across from her. "The hunting rifle is closer to you. Draw the wild boar's attention. Go and pick up the weapon." Agu glanced at the hunting rifle 10 meters away. He calculated that it should be manageable. Finally, he nodded in agreement. Qin Nian immediately used the same method, grabbing a sturdy, resilient branch to swing in the air, letting out a sharp whistle. The wild boar's attention was drawn to her. Taking advantage of the moment, Agu quickly descended the tree, grabbed the hunting rifle, and raised it. Bang! A deafening gunshot rang out. The last wild boar lay on the ground, bleeding profusely. Only then did Qin Nian release the branch in her hand, landing steadily on the ground. Then she saw Agu take out a bag of medicinal powder from his chest and sprinkle it into the blood the wild boar left on the ground. The intense, bloody smell in the air was instantly replaced by a pungent, sour stench. She asked in confusion, "What are you doing?" The patrolling comrades occasionally walked this route. To avoid attracting other large wild beasts, we usually have to treat it, Agu explained. Qin Nian understood that he was thinking of the safety of his comrades. She was about to step forward to help when her eyes suddenly widened. "Then will we run into the patrolling soldiers?" Agu thought for a moment. "There's a 70% chance." He gestured toward the small mountain of wild boar carcasses piled up behind him. If we meet the patrolling comrades, bringing these wild boars down the mountain shouldn't be a problem. At this point, the few teenagers also ran over, their faces excited. They chattered non-stop, completely unaware of how dangerous the situation had been moments earlier. Agu's face darkened when he heard them. "Children are forbidden in Tianying Ridge. Where are your parents?" The question made the faces of the teenagers turn pale. The boy who had been carrying the hunting rifle spoke up. "None of your business." He held out his hand to AGU. "Give me back the gun." "Weapon confiscated." AGU hung the hunting rifle over his shoulder, a strained smile on his face. "I'll inform your parents when we get back. Everyone will receive criticism and education." The other children panicked when they heard this. "It was us who begged Brother Amiao to take us into the mountains. Our family is almost out of food. We just came into the mountains to find something to eat. Big brother, please don't tell Brother Amiao's family. His parents will beat him to death." AGU saw how thin the children were, and his expression softened slightly. "Which village are you from?" The children answered in unison, "Luwak Sipo." AGU knew that in that village, every family had a large number of children. It was already difficult to feed them, and filling their bellies was even harder. But Tianying Ridge was not only rugged, but also had many outlaws lurking inside. He knew he couldn't hide this matter. He had to inform their parents. Just as the teenagers were crying miserably, a stern warning came from the high ground of the slope. "Who are you people? Put your hands up." More than 10 dark gun muzzles from the high ground were aimed at them. AGU quickly raised his right arm, revealing a red cloth from his sleeve and vigorously waving it. "Comrades! I am AGU, the guard of the 1st Regiment commander!" More than 20 solemn-looking soldiers rushed down the slope. One of them recognized AGU. "It's you, kid!" Seeing the pile of wild boars the size of a small hill, they couldn't help but stare wide-eyed. "I knew there were gunshots. Did you poke a wild boar's nest? We've got so many wild boars. How long will it take to eat all of them?" "AGU, your 1st regiment certainly can't finish them all. Give our 2nd regiment a few to enjoy some meat." AGU couldn't make that decision. He quickly explained the previous events. Meanwhile, Qin Nian, carrying her bamboo basket, arrived at the sun-drenched slope base she had mentioned earlier. The next moment, her eyes lit up slightly. She saw a patch of wild Castrodia elata, Tianma, nearing maturity. Qin Nian immediately knelt on the ground and started digging with a small trowel. By the time she finished digging and returned to the area where the wild boars had attacked, she found that the wild boar carcasses had already been divided. When she appeared, the soldiers carrying the wild boars enthusiastically shouted, "Hello, sister-in-law!" Qin Nian smiled faintly, responding warmly. However, on the way down the mountain, she realized that these simple soldiers seemed overly enthusiastic. "Sister-in-law, you are so beautiful. Do you have any sisters at home?" "Sister-in-law, I heard you studied medicine and cured Regiment Commander Xie's leg. Is that true?" Qin Nian answered every question, appearing to have a very good temper. This made some of the soldiers eager to try their luck. The soldier closest to Qin Nian suddenly stammered. "Sister-in-law, I heard your cooking is very good." Many people had gone to eat at Xie Yucheng's place while he was hospitalized, and her cooking reputation had already spread throughout the camp. Qin Nian's beautiful eyes narrowed slightly, and she understood. "If it weren't for you and AGU today, I wouldn't have known how to get down the mountain. To show my gratitude, find a time, and everyone come over to the house to eat." The sentence instantly excited everyone present. One soldier suddenly spoke up. "But Regiment Commander Xie wouldn't mind welcoming us, would he?" Qin Nian raised an eyebrow. "This young man seems a little provocative," but she smiled sweetly. "How could he? Yu Cheng is the most hospitable person." At the office at that moment, Regiment Commander Xie couldn't help but sneeze. Director Luo, holding a tea mug, glanced at him. "Comrade Xiao Qin must be thinking of you." Xie Yucheng couldn't help but curve his lips slightly, but he rebutted seriously. "That girl is thoughtless. How would she have time to think of me?" Director Luo, as a man who had been through it all, could tell he was satisfied with Qin Yan in his heart. He put down his mug and said earnestly, "Xiao Qin is such a good comrade. You must not let her down." Xie Yucheng rubbed the bridge of his nose. "How would I dare? She's the daughter-in-law my father personally approved. Just then, the office door was violently pushed open. Lu Shu walked in, exasperated. Those gossiping women who spread rumors? All they do is talk nonsense. Director Luo saw his wife's temper flare up and quickly soothed her. Calm down, calm down. What happened? Lu Shu put her hands on her hips, gritting her teeth. Someone is saying that Yu Cheng is impotent and will never have children. The whole camp knows about it. Xie Yu Cheng, sitting on the chair, tensed his facial muscles. His eyes instantly flashed with a sharp light. Lu Shu, who was secretly glancing at his expression, turned pale. Director Luo, however, didn't notice, waving his hands repeatedly and laughing. What kind of nonsense is that? Don't take it seriously. They just have too much time on their hands. But soon, the quiet atmosphere in the room made him realize something was wrong. A disbelieving tremor came from Lu Shu behind him. Yu Cheng, are they telling the truth? Director Luo turned sharply, looking aghast at the two men whose faces were etched with distress. Xie Yu Cheng slowly stood up. Zhuyi, who spread this rumor? His lack of rebuttal made their faces turn ashen. Director Luo's facial muscles twitched. He gritted his teeth and asked, was it caused by this injury? Xie Yu Cheng's eyes flickered, and he slightly turned his head, avoiding the sharp gaze. Silence was acquiescence. Director Luo painfully collapsed onto the chair. I let our old leader down. If I had known, I should have transferred you back to the capital at the beginning of the year. Lu Shu completely broke down, covering her face and crying uncontrollably. Xie Yu Cheng couldn't bear to see them so self-reproachful and sad. I'm just lucky to be alive. It's only about not being able to have children. It's not a big deal. Lu Shu cried even harder. How is that not a big deal? The old Shi family is going to have no heir. Director Luo stared straight at Xie Yu Cheng. Did you inform your family about this? Hearing Director Luo's question, his eyes were complex and hard to read. My father is not well. There's no need to tell him about this for now. Lu Shu, who had just sat down, jumped up instantly. I'll tell your parents right now. This matter absolutely cannot be kept secret. Lucy believed this was her and her husband's fault, and that they needed to explain the situation to the old leader as soon as possible. Xie Yu Cheng disregarded the pain in his leg, taking large strides to block her path. I have my own arrangements for this matter. Please don't disturb them. Old Elder Xie had been seriously ill a few months ago. Although his health had improved, his condition was still not good. If this matter was exploited by those with ulterior motives, something could genuinely go wrong. Thinking this, Xie Yu Cheng forced a smile. Didn't I just say something? You also know that Nian Nian is a doctor. She can restore me to about 80% in a short time. Impotence is just a matter of time for her. Director Luo and Lu Shu, who didn't know about this, finally felt some relief upon hearing his words. Seeing the two of them slightly calmer, Xie Yu Cheng continued to ask aggressively, Xu Yi, who spread the rumor about my impotence? Lu Shu's face darkened upon hearing this. Who else? Those family members who are full and have nothing better to do? They gather every day to gossip and spread rumors. They aren't afraid of their mouths rotting off one day. Xie Yu Cheng stood still, pondering for a moment. He straightened his back and saluted Director Luo. 1st Regiment Xie Yu Cheng, requesting to return to duty now. Director Luo, who was picking up the tea mug from the floor, almost dropped it again. Nonsense! Your leg injury hasn't healed. Return to what duty? Xie Yu Cheng's attitude was resolute. 1st Regiment Xie Yu Cheng, requesting to return to duty. Director Luo glared slightly. If I don't agree, are you planning to stage a protest? Xie Yu Cheng's eyes were deep and unwavering, staring directly at Director Luo. He neither admitted nor denied it. Director Luo knew he was stubborn and finally waved his hand helplessly. Granted. Take it easy. The soldiers in the 963 unit are still lacking in physical fitness. Xie Yu Cheng interrupted Director Luo's words, agreeing, lowering his hand from his forehead and leaving the office. Lu Shu looked at his departing back, then turned to complain to Director Luo. Why did you agree? Director Luo sighed softly. You don't know his temper. Besides, he's not returning to duty. He's going to find trouble for his wife. Lu Tu was confused. What do you mean? Yu Cheng is afraid that Qinyan will be gossiped about and become the camp's topic of conversation. He's gonna crack down on those who can't control their wives. Lu Xiu frowned tightly. Isn't that making a mountain out of a molehill? Is doing this appropriate? Director Luo looked calm. Don't forget Yu Cheng's other identity. He is a special talent highly valued by the higher-ups. It is both lucky and glorious for the soldiers of the 963 unit to be trained by him. As the sun set, the warm yellow light enveloped the camp. When Qin Yan and the others returned, they found the camp unusually quiet today. AGU and the soldiers of the 2nd Regiment realized that something might have happened. Immediately stopped Qin Yan, who was about to enter the camp. Sister-in-law, wait, something's wrong. He walked up to the sentry on the left. Brother Jin, why is it so quiet? What happened? The sentry recognized AGU and lowered his voice. The King of Hell has returned to the team. Agu's face dropped, and his expression turned grim. There was only one person in the 963rd unit nicknamed King of Hell, Xie Yucheng, who had been transferred here a year ago. He hadn't forgotten that Xie Yucheng's injury hadn't fully healed, and upon hearing the news, he immediately turned and ran into the camp. Qin Yan looked at AGU, who had just been blocking her, but was now charging into the camp. She was both amused and annoyed, until the 2nd Regiment captain behind her muttered under his breath. Regiment Commander Xie's injury hasn't fully healed. Why did he return to the team? The smile on Qin Yan's face vanished, her beautiful eyes widened, and she took off in the direction AGU had run. Xie Yucheng, you're unbelievable. Is it that uncomfortable not to stir up trouble for a day? In the camp, Xie Yucheng coolly scanned the crowd. Everyone must be quite tired, huh? Not tired. The deafening response seemed to pierce the sky. Xie Yucheng curled his lips. You are all excellent. Since you're not tired, the training continues. Everyone, hit the deck. Instantly, the majority of the soldiers expertly dropped to the ground, but 5 arrogant young men remained standing. One of the tall ones glared angrily at Xie Yucheng. I object. So what if someone said you're impotent? Do you have to take personal revenge? Besides, we didn't say it. The whole camp is talking about it now. The moment the words left his mouth, the whole field fell silent, a deathly stillness gripping the large training ground. But Xie Yucheng was not angry. Instead, he walked steadily towards the 5 men, looking down at them with a commanding posture that made the 5 men's guilty eyes dare not meet his. He lowered his eyes and asked softly, Did you get married? The tall man answered with a hint of guilt. Yes, I did. Xie Yucheng flashed a smile that didn't reach his eyes. I also got married half a month ago. But my wife is young and naive, and she's at an age where she cries easily. His smile faded slightly as he scanned the people listening with pricked ears. So, you can talk about me behind my back all you want. It doesn't matter. You can talk until the sky collapses, and I won't lose an inch of flesh. But you can't involve my wife. The group of soldiers suddenly understood, and they all promised not to let their wives gossip when they returned. But Xie Yucheng raised his hand, signaling everyone to be quiet. Do you think today's training is my personal revenge? Today, the Longting Special Forces will select 20 elite personnel from us to join them. If you're not up to par, how can you be chosen? Immediately, all the soldiers jumped up, expressing their disbelief. The Longting Special Forces were a famous elite unit in the military. Only the most valued sharpshooters could get in. Xie Yucheng didn't explain further. All right, continue training. The time limit is 1 hour. The excited soldiers were instantly revitalized. They shed their previous fatigue and enthusiastically paired up to train. The 5 men, led by the tall one, were also ready to return to the team. But Xie Yucheng informed them they were eliminated. When you put on this uniform, obeying orders is your bounden duty. Failing to adhere to that duty is your biggest mistake. The 5 men's eyes turned red, and they loudly protested. Xie Yucheng let out a slight laugh. He slowly rolled up his sleeves. I'll give you a chance now. You all come at me. If you can make me fall, I'll allow you to continue participating in the selection. The 5 men subconsciously looked at Xie Yucheng's injured left leg. The entire camp knew his left leg was severely injured, and that he had almost had to leave the military because of it. Xie Yucheng saw their hesitation and scoffed. Cowards? This is your only chance to participate in the selection. Miss it, and it's gone forever. The 5 men exchanged glances, finally gritting their teeth and rushing forward. When Agu and Chen Nian arrived at the training ground, they saw the scene of Xie Yucheng taking on 5 men. Xie Yucheng, with an absolute advantage, pinned the 5 soldiers to the ground. However, when it was over, he breathlessly straightened his clothes that had been pulled askew. His left foot slightly lifted from the ground, and the piercing pain made his face slightly pale. Qin Nian saw his expression and knew his injury was definitely serious. She was trembling with anger. "Xie Yucheng." The man's body stiffened when he heard her voice. For some reason, he felt a little guilty. Then he met the girl's angry, beautiful eyes. Qin Nian glared at Xie Yucheng, her cheeks puffed out with rage. Suddenly, her angry expression changed, and she shouted, "Look out!" Xie Yucheng's eyes were fixed on Qin Nian, his mind distracted. By the time he sensed the danger approaching from behind, it was too late. The person behind him used a malicious groin-clawing technique. Xie Yucheng instantly sucked in a cold breath. He couldn't believe someone would use such an underhanded move. The tall man took advantage of Xie Yucheng's shock and tackled him to the ground. His panting voice came from beneath Xie Yucheng. "Regiment Commander Xie, you lose." The tall man remembered Xie Yucheng was injured, so he acted as a human cushion when they fell. Xie Yucheng was amused and annoyed. He patted the arm tightly locked around his waist. "I know. Let go quickly." Hearing him personally admit defeat, the tall man released his arms and lay flat on the ground. His clear, joyful eyes stared at the sky, a wide smile on his face. When Xie Yucheng stood up gracefully, Qin Nian had already rushed over. "Do you not want your leg anymore?" Xie Yucheng glanced at the onlookers. His voice was cold. "Apologies. Military duties are urgent." Qin Nian felt the burning, gossipy gazes of the soldiers and finally gritted her teeth, speaking softly. "I'll settle the score with you when we get back." Xie Yucheng smiled, looking at the angry Qin Nian. "Wait for me to finish this up and we'll go back together." After he spoke, he turned and walked towards the tall man. "You're a tough kid. What's your name?" The tall man pursed his lips, embarrassed. "Lang Ye." He held Xie Yucheng's hand, trying to pull himself up. The next moment, he felt the world spin. Lang Ye was cleanly thrown over Xie Yucheng's shoulder and slammed onto the ground. Xie Yucheng stepped closer and offered his hand again. "How old are you?" Lang Ye looked at the offered hand on the ground and swallowed. 19. He then climbed to his feet by himself. Xie Yucheng's deep eyes scrutinized him. "You can continue participating in the selection, but what?" Lang Yi's emotions were running high. Xie Yucheng unexpectedly kicked him down and rushed forward, twisting his hands behind his back and pinning him. His handsome face was icy. "You can be ruthless when dealing with enemies, but if you use dirty tricks on your own people again, I'll cripple you." Lang Yi's face was pale with pain, and he quickly yelled, "I won't do it again." Xie Yucheng saw he was in serious pain, so he let go and turned to Agu. "You supervise them and continue training here. Dismiss them in 1 hour." After he spoke, he walked up to Qin Nian with a stern face. "Give me the bamboo basket." Qin Nian glared at him angrily. "No need." She turned and walked away, her steps radiating fury. Xie Yucheng's left eyebrow twitched slightly, and he took off after her. In the family quarters, Qin Nian threw the bamboo basket into the corner by the door as soon as she returned. She took out her acupuncture kit and medicinal plaster from the drawer, then shouted loudly towards the outside, "Xie Yucheng, come in!" The man, who had washed his face and was wearing a white tank top, lifted the door curtain and asked coolly, "What is it?" Qin Nian looked at him, and her face instantly flushed red. "Why aren't you wearing clothes?" The wet, white tank top clung tightly to his 8-pack of neat abs, the sexual tension completely maxed out. Xie Yucheng frowned slightly, staring at the military trousers he was wearing. "Didn't I put on clothes?" Qin Nian forced herself to look away. "Do you not want your leg anymore? Come here for acupuncture." Her tone was fierce, but it inadvertently revealed a strenuous attempt to hide her panic. Xie Yucheng belatedly realized something. A playful smile appeared in his eyes, and he walked towards the bed. The scent of pheromones hit Qin Nian, and she almost reached out to touch his rock-hard abs within arm's reach. The girl quickly snapped back to reality, her face flushed with embarrassment. "What are you standing there for? Get on the bed and lie down." Xie Yucheng didn't move from where he stood. He lifted a corner of his tank top, his voice lazy. "Do you want me to take off my shirt?" Qin Nian watched the man's solid abdominal muscles, just as her eyes widened, eager to see more. Xie Yucheng's movement suddenly stopped. "Forget it. Wouldn't want anyone to say I'm not wearing clothes." He chuckled with pleasure, his long legs swinging onto the bed to lie down. Qin Nian looked at the completely proper Xie Yucheng on the bed with disbelief. That man was definitely flirting with her just now. "Xie Yucheng!" Qin Nian yelled his name, gathering her strength. Xie Yucheng, who was resting his arm on the back of his head, replied with a nasal sound. Qin Nian's smile was forced. How indecent. Xie Yucheng's expression froze. He stared at the sweetly smiling Qin Nian with a pair of dark, dangerous eyes. She looked exactly like a small fox who stole hearts, making him want to bully her until she cried, just to see her pitiful, begging look. To prevent Xie Yucheng from causing more trouble, Qin Nian quickly plunged the silver needles she held into the swollen area of his leg. The sudden pain made Xie Yucheng gasp. "Are you taking revenge?" Qin Nian's eyes curved into beautiful crescent moons. "Regiment Commander Xi, with your injury, you can still take on 5 people. How mighty and domineering. How would I dare to take revenge on you?" She said this without any change in her expression, but deep down she grew even more fearful of the man who took on 5 people. "This guy is too vicious. My small frame would be played to death by Xie Yucheng. I'd better keep my distance from now on." With her mind on other things, Qin Nian finished the acupuncture and left the man alone on the bed. She went to wash the herbs she had picked from the mountain. Xie Yucheng, drenched in sweat, leaned against the headboard, watching Qin Nian's busy figure through the window. His deep, emotionless eyes were chilling to behold. An hour later, Agu arrived, carrying a bag of pork belly in his hand and a whole rack of ribs on his shoulder. Qin Nian was startled when she saw it. "Why so much?" Agu's face was beaming. "This is wild boar meat we carried down from Tianying Ridge. Director Luo said the weather is hot and the meat won't keep, so he decided to give half to the nearby villagers. The rest will go to the mess hall for the soldiers to enjoy some meat." Qin Nian stood up, her face clouded with worry. "This is too much. We can't possibly eat it all. How can there be too much meat?" "We can make cured meat to keep it longer," Agu said, still smiling. He looked at Qin Nian with a hint of curiosity. Meat is a rare commodity these days. Why does she seem to dislike it a bit? Qin Nian thought about it and agreed. "Send the meat to the kitchen. Wait until I finish sorting the herbs, and I'll stew some meat for you all tonight." Agu immediately carried the meat into the house, then walked into the bedroom. Looking at Qin Nian's busy figure outside the window, he whispered, "Brother Yu, sister-in-law seems a little off. I think she's been deep inside Tianying Ridge. She's very familiar with the area's layout." Xie Yucheng's finger on his leg moved slightly. "Tell me the specifics." Agu recounted how Qin Nian had walked into the deep part of the mountain like an expert after entering, her calmness when facing the wild boars, and her unusual agility. After listening, Xie Yucheng's eyebrows furrowed tightly. Quote, "Don't worry about this matter, I'll handle it." Agu then mentioned Qin Nian's subtle distaste for the wild boar meat. "Sister-in-law doesn't seem like a girl from a village. Should we investigate her background?" Xie Yucheng shook his head. "No need. Months ago, the Xie family already investigated the Qin family's background thoroughly. If nothing can be found, there are only 2 possibilities. Either there's no problem, or she's hiding it too well. There's no hurry. As long as Qin Nian is by my side, if there's a problem, it will be exposed eventually." Just then, Xie Yucheng saw Qin Nian finish her work outside and walk into the house, carrying a wooden basin. He withdrew his gaze and spoke to Agu. "Find some time to talk to the few people who fought with me today." Agu was a little confused. "What's wrong with them?" Xie Yucheng's tone was firm. "They must know who started the rumors today. Follow the trail and find the person behind it." As soon as he finished speaking, there was a sudden sound of a porcelain basin smashing to the ground outside. Xie Yucheng tilted his head to look outside, but the door curtain blocked his view. "Go see what happened." Nian is tired from cooking alone. Help her with the chores." Agu agreed, rolling up his sleeves as he walked, his steps steady and strong. Dinner was a table full of meat. In this era, eating so extravagantly was rare. but Qin Nian rarely touched the meat, only eating the green vegetables on the side. Xie Yucheng casually asked her why she wasn't eating meat. Qin Nian explained helplessly. My sense of taste is quite sensitive. Even after cleaning it, the wild boar meat still has a strong scent. I can't eat it. Facing this explanation, the two men tasted the meat again and were confused, as there was clearly no unusual smell. Qin Nian smiled and said, I've been tasting herbs since I was little. My sense of taste is different from yours. Xie Yucheng and Agu exchanged a subtle glance. This explained why Qin Nian had disliked the wild boar meat earlier. After dinner, Agu tidied up the kitchen before leaving. Xie Yucheng took a quick shower and was about to go back to bed when he saw Qin Nian coming out with a silk quilt and a pillow. He walked up to her in confusion, blocking her way. Where are you going? Qing Han averted her gaze, looking a little guilty. Starting today, we're sleeping in separate rooms. Even if Xie Yucheng kept pushing himself, his leg would heal soon enough. Qin Nian decided to move out of the master bedroom before he recovered, just in case she was eaten, until only bone fragments were left. Xie Yucheng's eyes narrowed. He placed his hand on Qin Nian's shoulder, pushing her back towards the bedroom. Go back to the room and sleep. Qing Nian stopped her steps, her voice icy. I said I want to sleep in separate rooms. Get out of the way. Xie Yucheng didn't move and said possessively, I don't agree. Why don't you agree? Qin Nian glared at the man, raising her voice in anger. Xie Yucheng chuckled softly, then directly lifted Qin Nian across his shoulder, kicked the door shut, and walked towards the bed inside. Qin Nian was unceremoniously dumped on the bed, her soft body hurting slightly from the jolt. Xie Yucheng shook out the silk quilt and covered Qin Nian roughly. Go to sleep. But Qin Nian sat up, glaring at Xie Yucheng. I want a divorce. I can't live like this anymore. She had been married for less than a month, and this scumbag was already domestically abusing her. Xie Yucheng furrowed his brows tightly, his voice slightly cold. Don't make trouble. Who's making trouble? Qin Nian was trembling all over. She stood up from the bed, placing her hands on her hips. No divorce then, separate rooms. You choose one. Xie Yucheng looked at the fiercely cute Qin Nian and only found her soft and adorable, not realizing the seriousness of the situation. He coaxed her awkwardly. Separate rooms are impossible, and divorce is even more impossible. Behave. His blunt words were in his usual commanding tone, not at all like a gentle coaxing, but more like a warning to Qin Nian that if she caused any more trouble, he wouldn't be polite. Qin Nian, furious, retorted, marital abuse, and you're forcing me to sleep in the same room. I'm divorcing you. Xie Yucheng frowned, completely bewildered. When did I abuse you? Just now. My waist was bruised. Qin Nian rubbed her slightly aching lower back, her eyes clearly showing her grievance. Xie Yucheng never expected Qin Nian to be so delicate. He had only picked her up and put her back on the bed, and it had somehow bruised her waist. He sighed helplessly in his heart. Then when did I force you to sleep in the same room? Speaking of this, Qin Nian looked down at the silk quilt spread on the bed. This is the proof. I want to sleep in a separate room, and you're forcing me to share a room with you. Xie Yucheng's lips twitched slightly. He was completely speechless. I'm sorry I hurt you earlier without realizing my own strength. It won't happen again. Xie Yucheng seemed to have opened a new emotional channel, coaxing her with a soft voice. With a handsome man speaking to her so gently, Qin Nian's anger subsided considerably, but she didn't forget her goal of sleeping in a separate room from Xie Yucheng. What's the use of an apology? You've already hurt me. Qin Nian pretended to wince, her hand constantly rubbing her slightly aching lower back. Xie Yucheng, however, believed her. He walked over and picked her up by the waist, letting the girl lie prone on his lap. Qin Nian instantly felt unwell. She asked Xie Yucheng, "What are you doing?" The next moment, a warm, strong hand clamped onto Qin Nian's side waist. Qin Nian immediately struggled with a tickle, her body writhing with his amplified laughter. This was torture for Xie Yucheng, who was being rubbed vigorously. Sure enough, his laughter abruptly stopped. What on earth is this man made of? Why is he being so reckless? Xie Yucheng's face also flushed red. Both of them seemed to have been paused, neither daring to move. The man took a deep breath and gently put her down on the bed, face down. Your lower back is red. I'll put some ointment on it. It might hurt a little. Bear with it. Qin Nian, who was playing dead on the bed, heard the ambiguously evocative words and turned a complete shade of crimson. Xie Yucheng poured the medicated oil into his palm and rubbed it warm. He turned around and saw Qin Yan's complexion change seductively before his eyes. His jaw tightened. "Are you feeling unwell?" "No, hurry up," Qin Yan said, flustered and embarrassed. Xie Yucheng's Adam's apple bobbed a few times. He pressed his hand onto Qin Yan's fair, smooth lower back. Qin Yan felt a sharp sting, and a difficult, painful sound escaped her red lips. Xie Yucheng's hand trembled, and he almost made a fool of himself from her cry. "This is deadly. This little girl is born to be my nemesis." Xie Yucheng slowly exhaled a long breath. "Better now? It hurts. Be gentler." Qin Yan's delicate eyebrows were tightly furrowed, and she moaned softly. She didn't see the danger bursting forth from the black eyes of Xie Yucheng, who was sitting by the bed. A fine layer of sweat appeared on the man's forehead. The hand kneading Qin Yan's lower back went from gentle at first to a harder pressure later. Qin Yan cried out in pain, almost climbing up to slap Xie Yucheng. She suspected this man was taking revenge on her. Just as she was about to escape and scold him, the man suddenly stood up, staring at her intently. The woman never dreamed that the cold, impotent husband rumored to be useless had almost lost control because of her innocent gaze. Just when she thought there was no escaping tonight, the man turned and walked out with hurried steps. Qin Yan was utterly confused. She supported her waist and climbed out of bed. She thought her waist would hurt badly, but she found that not only had the pain disappeared, but even the soreness from climbing the mountain during the day had been relieved. Qin Yan immediately realized that Xie Yucheng had massaged the acupoints in her lower back. She crawled to the window on the inner side of the bed. Under the warm yellow light of the utility pole lamp, Xie Yucheng walked to the vegetable garden, expertly tilting his head to light a cigarette. In truth, she had always been wary of Xie Yucheng. Qin Yan, who had lived half a lifetime, had seen countless men as unfathomable and cunning as Xie Yucheng. They were not to be trifled with. When Xie Yucheng finished his cigarette and returned to the room, Qin Yan was already asleep on the inner side of the bed. He pulled back the quilt and lay down, sniffing the faint, unique scent lingering at his nose, and slowly closed his eyes. Xie Yucheng did not sleep. Instead, he waited quietly for something. Before long, the sleeping Qin Yan, just like the previous night, started to move restlessly. This time, Xie Yucheng had experience. He possessively pulled her into his arms. The next day, when Qin Yan woke up, Xie Yucheng was gone, so she didn't know she had been held while she slept last night. She got out of bed, carried her bamboo basket, and left the camp to go to a small stream at the foot of Tianying Ridge. A few days ago, she had discovered wild, small fish and shrimp in this stream. It was the perfect opportunity to use special medicinal powder to catch fish and improve the food. Half an hour later, Qin Yan stood up and lifted the submerged bamboo basket. It was half full of lively fish and shrimp. She carried the slightly heavy basket and waded out of the water towards the bank. Just then, she saw a large, burly woman standing on the bank. She wore a blue and white patterned cloth wrapped around her head, and her eyes glanced at Qin Yan intentionally. At first, she didn't pay attention until she put on her shoes and was about to leave, and her path was blocked. "Put down what you have in your hand." Qin Yan suspected she might have misheard. How could someone rob her in broad daylight? "What did you just say?" Qiao Genmei saw that Qin Yan was slender and frail, so she repeated her words. "Pour out all the fish and shrimp in your basket," Qin Yan sneered. "Why?" Qiao Genmei with a smug look raised her chin. Quote, "This stream belongs to our Luoxipo village. Outsiders are not allowed to fish here." Qin Yan laughed. "This stream has always been public." She pointed to the lower reaches of the stream. "There are other people fishing down there. Why don't you go find them? Do you think I'm easy to bully because I'm alone?" Qiao Genmei, whose intentions were exposed, became enraged. "Hand over the things quickly, or I'll use force." Qin Yan gave a sarcastic smile, carrying her bamboo basket and walking around Qiao Genmei, ready to leave this troublesome place. But Qiao Genmei grabbed Qin Yan's arm and reached out to snatch the fish and shrimp from the bamboo basket. Just then, Qin Yan quickly twisted her wrist and forcefully struck an acupoint on Qiao Genmei's arm. A sharp scream erupted. Qiao Genmei's arm was hit by a searing pain. "What did you do to me?" Qin Yan looked at the woman across from her with cold eyes. Dare to touch me again, and I'll throw you into the stream. Qiao Genmei was intimidated by Qin Nian's icy gaze and froze in place. She had thought Qin Nian looked frail and weak, but she didn't expect the young girl to be so difficult to bully. Just as she was full of resentment, she suddenly realized her arm had feeling again and no longer hurt. The fear in her heart instantly dissipated. "How dare you try to scare me? I'm going to tear you apart," the woman said with a vicious expression, charging towards Qin Nian. Qin Nian immediately pulled out a silver needle and quickly plunged it into the woman. In an instant, Qiao Genmei stopped dead in her tracks. The silver needle gently vibrating on her forehead brought intense pain. She tried to pull the needle out but found both her arms wouldn't lift. Qin Nian stepped forward with her long, slender, straight legs, her tone mocking. "You better not talk anymore. Your mouth stinks as soon as you open it. Anyone would think you ate feces." With that, she grabbed the unmoving Qiao Genmei by the back of her collar and used all her strength to drag her to the stream. The stream, more than a meter deep, splashed high. Qin Nian held the silver needle she had just removed, watching Qiao Genmei struggle in the water with keen interest. "Next time you bully someone, remember to open your eyes wider. Otherwise, you won't even have a chance to beg for mercy." Qiao Genmei struggled for a long time, looking as pathetic as a drowned dog. When she finally crawled back onto the bank, Qin Nian was long gone. She thought the matter was over, but in the afternoon, while Xie Yucheng was conducting special training on the field, Yu suddenly ran over from a distance. "Brother Yu, something happened to sister-in-law." Xie Yucheng's eyes narrowed, staring sharply at Yu. "What happened?" Yu spoke quickly. "The villagers from Luoxapo came to the camp saying sister-in-law beat up someone from their village and are asking Director Luo for an explanation." At this, the sweating soldiers lying on the ground all raised their heads. Regiment Commander Xie's wife is so frail. It's a miracle if she's not the one being bullied. How could she have hit someone? Xie Yucheng thought the same way. Only Yu looked hesitant. "The person who was beaten is Amiao's mother. She has a large bump on her forehead from a needle stick, and one of her arms seems to be broken." It was indeed sister-in-law's doing. "Director Luo wants you and sister-in-law to go and see how to resolve this." Xie Yucheng got up and started walking. "I'll go by myself. The visitors are not kind." There's no need for her to be criticized. If the visitors were other villagers, he might have gone back to ask Qin Nian for the situation. But the visitor was Qiao Genmei, a notorious troublemaker in Luoxapo who had been pushing people around for a long time. This matter clearly had inside information, and it was very likely that Qin Nian had been wronged. When Xie Yucheng entered the office, he was met with over 10 pairs of upturned eyes. Qiao Genmei looked at him, her attitude becoming even more aggressive. "You're the man of that little slut? Your wife beat me up. You must give an explanation." Xie Yucheng's cold eyes narrowed as he examined Qiao Genmei, whose arm was suspended in a sling. He seemed to notice something, and a look of vague, dark emotion flashed in his eyes. "My wife is a military dependent. Your verbal abuse constitutes defamation. I can report it to the local public security bureau." Qiao Genmei's face instantly changed color. She definitely didn't want to go to that ghostly place. "Then you must give me an explanation for my injury." Qiao Genmei proudly pushed her injured arm forward. Xie Yucheng ignored her and walked up to Director Luo, who was sitting at the desk. He first saluted, then looked distraught. "I didn't plan to talk about this, but now that someone has come looking for trouble, I have to report it to you." Director Luo, thinking something major had happened, urgently asked, "What is it?" Xie Yucheng spoke slowly and deliberately. Nian left the camp today and returned sobbing, unable to catch her breath. I only learned after asking her that she was bullied outside and had bruises all over her body. Nian is young and innocent. She left her home to come to me. As her husband, I failed to protect her. How can I face my parents-in-law in the future?" As he spoke, the heartbreak in his eyes almost spilled out. Although the story was fabricated, the emotion was genuine. Qiao Genmei was almost driven mad. "You're lying. I just looked at a few of her stinking fish and rotten shrimp. I didn't even touch her. When she pushed me, she intentionally broke my hand. She even used a long needle to stab me. Look, my forehead is still swollen." With that, Qiao Genmei pointed at her own forehead with her bandaged hand, looking utterly exasperated. She didn't notice the strange looks from everyone in the room staring at her injured arm. Xie Yucheng showed no surprise. He had noticed the woman was faking it as soon as he entered the door and wanted to provoke her. He hadn't expected her to reveal her true colors so quickly. His cold voice sternly questioned her. "So, you tried to steal Nian's fish? And she used a needle to hurt you in self-defense?" Xiao Genmei realized she had slipped up and quickly corrected herself. "Who tried to steal her stinking fish and rotten shrimp? I was just looking. Who knew she would hit me?" Xie Yucheng stepped closer to Xiao Genmei, his voice deep. "My wife comes from a family of traditional Chinese medicine practitioners. As a doctor, she used a needle to stab you in self-defense." He suddenly grabbed the woman's arm and tore off the makeshift splint and bandage. There were only slight swelling, no signs of broken bones. Xie Yucheng's voice dropped several degrees. "My wife is frail and weak. She doesn't even have the strength to move a table. How could she break your arm?" Xiao Genmei, who had been dragged and thrown into the stream by Qin Nian, was dumbfounded. "That girl was so fierce, frail and weak? Are you blind?" She was about to say something more when her companion pulled her arm. "Genmei, stop making trouble. Let's go home." Xiao Genmei angrily shook off her companion's hand, raising her chin and pointing at Xie Yucheng's nose. "Your wife not only stabbed me with a needle, but she also pushed me into the water. If I weren't lucky, I would have drowned." Xie Yucheng's eyes showed surprise. He raised his hand, gesturing towards her body. "With all due respect, with your excessive weight, you must be a few pounds heavier than me. My wife, with her small dozens of pounds body, probably couldn't even drag you." Xiao Genmei's face turned green upon hearing this. She hated being called fat the most. She lunged forward, raising her hand to scratch Xie Yucheng's face. Xie Yucheng swiftly stepped aside to avoid her. Clang! Director Luo slammed his hand on the table and stood up. Quote, "What do you think this place is? Slandering a military dependent, faking a broken arm, not a single truthful word coming out of your mouth. Who gave you the guts to make trouble here?" Xiao Genmei sneered, putting her hands on her hips. "I'm making trouble. Go ahead, kill me." She was used to being unreasonable. The more aggressive others were, the more excited she became. Director Luo was so angry his nostrils flared. "Guard! Take them away! From now on, Luoxapo villagers are forbidden to enter the camp without proper documentation." Xiao Genmei, who was still planning to make a scene, saw the men with rifles coming in and finally left sheepishly with the other villagers. Meanwhile, Political Commissar Liu, who had just returned to the camp, learned that Qin Yan had saved his son and immediately brought his wife and gifts to express his gratitude. Xie Yucheng wasn't home, and Qin Yan didn't want to accept their gifts. After they insisted on giving them, Political Commissar Liu directly left the items and took his wife and child away. Qin Yan looked at the 9 cakes of pastry on the table, deciding to let Xie Yucheng handle it when he returned. The personal relationships here were complicated, and she didn't want to attract any unknown trouble. Just then, a faint voice came from behind her. "Comrade Qin Yan, I have a few words for you." It was Li Xiaohong, Political Commissar Liu's wife, who had returned. Qin Yan immediately smiled. "What is it? Come, let me pour you a cup of water." After the two sat down, she smiled and asked, "Is there something wrong with Jinbao's arm?" Li Xiaohong quickly waved her hand. No, Bao is eating and sleeping well, doing great." Li Xiaohong seemed a little nervous. She picked up the water cup on the table and drank a few gulps of water. Taking a deep breath, she lowered her voice. "I know about what happened yesterday. It's not impossible for Regiment Commander Xie not to have children. My husband and I didn't have a child for 8 years. We only had Bao after taking a folk remedy for a year." With that, she slipped a piece of old paper into Qin Yan's hand. "You and Regiment Commander Xie try hard. Maybe next year you'll have a big, chubby boy." Qin Yan froze instantly. What is all this? She looked into Li Xiaohong's eyes. "Auntie, what happened yesterday?" Li Xiaohong looked at her in surprise. "You don't know? My apologies for talking too much. Just pretend I didn't say anything." With that, she snatched the folk remedy from Qin Yan's hand and got up to leave. Qin Yan quickly stopped her, begging sweetly and pitifully. "Good sister-in-law, please tell me. I promise I won't tell anyone." As she held Li Xiaohong's arm at close range, she suddenly caught a familiar scent of cold cream. A light bulb went off in her head. She had smelled this scent in the hospital corridor before. After hearing the rumor of impotence from Li Xiaohong, Qin Yan's expression instantly changed from shock to realization. She suddenly remembered that the day she spoke to Xie Yucheng about his impotence, someone seemed to be eavesdropping outside the ward. Qin Yan kept her expression neutral, holding Li Xiaohong's arm. People outside are talking nonsense. She skillfully changed the subject. Sister-in-law, did you put something on? You smell so nice. No. Li Xiaohong looked confused, sniffing her sleeve. She did smell a sweet fragrance. She couldn't help but laugh. Quote, there is a scent. I didn't notice when I arrived, but I accidentally bumped into Comrade Sun Yuzhen, Deputy Regiment Commander Zhao's wife, her voice suddenly raised. I don't know what she was rushing about. She almost knocked into my Bao. If I hadn't stopped her, Bao would have fallen to the ground. Hearing it was Sun Yuzhen, Qin Yan was not very surprised. Xie Yucheng had mentioned to her that the rumors about Wang Chenling from the art troupe were orchestrated by Sun Yuzhen behind the scenes. If Xie Yucheng was still bedridden, Deputy Regiment Commander Zhao Yongchong would be the next person in charge. Sun Yuzhen held a grudge against her because of this, and had been causing trouble behind Xie Yucheng's back. To avoid wrongly accusing a good person, Qin Yan chatted with Li Xiaohong again. What does this Sun Yuzhen do? She's a nurse in the pharmacy at the city hospital. Now, she was 90% sure. The person eavesdropping in the ward was Sun Yuzhen. After seeing off the kind-hearted Li Xiaohong, she locked the door and went to the hospital. To eliminate the 10% uncertainty, she decided to verify it herself. At the hospital, Qin Yan casually found a doctor and got a prescription for some traditional Chinese medicine that could be used as seasoning. She took the handwritten prescription to the pharmacy. In the first counter, there was a middle-aged man in a white coat. In the second window, there stood a woman. Qin Yan stared at the woman's face, vaguely feeling that she looked familiar. She walked up and placed the prescription on the counter. I'm here to pick up my medicine, she said softly. The woman looked up, saw Qin Yan's fair face, and a flicker of guilt and uneasiness flashed in her eyes. Qin Yan didn't miss the change in her expression. In just one glance, she knew. You must be Sun Yuzhen, right? Sun Yuzhen narrowed her eyes and spoke softly. I am. What do you want? Qin Yan's gaze suddenly sharpened. I came to tell you something. Don't open prescriptions for others when you're the one who is sick. Sun Yuzhen frowned, questioning her angrily. What do you mean? Qin Yan's voice was cold. It means you talk so much. Did you grow an extra tongue? With the conversation reaching this point, Sun Yuzhen couldn't hide the guilt on her face anymore. She lowered her head, pretending to tidy things up, and spoke quickly. I don't know what you're talking about. Qin Yan's clear, cold eyes assessed the woman. You'd better watch yourself. Qin Yan felt it was pointless. She picked up the medicine and turned to leave. As soon as she walked out, the terrified Sun Yuzhen rushed out of the pharmacy, leaning against the wall outside the hospital and dry-heaving. In the foul-smelling corner, she cursed Qin Yan with a venomous, chilling voice. Qin Yan, who had walked far away, sneezed twice in a row. She immediately thought of Sun Yuzhen. Qin Yan let out a cold snort, deciding to mention it to Xie Yucheng when she got back. It was time for Xie Yucheng, this golden thigh, to shine. In the evening, after Xie Yucheng finished training, he entered the house and smelled the tempting aroma of food. He rolled up his sleeve as he walked, lifting the curtain to see Qin Yan standing at the stove. The kitchen temperature was high. Qin Yan's forehead was covered in fine sweat, and her damp hair stuck to her long, fair neck. Xie Yucheng's dark eyes flickered slightly. He shifted his gaze to the 4 dishes and 1 soup on the cutting board. He walked to the faucet to wash his hands, his voice flat. AGU isn't coming for dinner tonight. No need to cook so much. Qin Yan paused the action of removing a shrimp cake from the oil pan. I thought he was coming tonight. I shouldn't have made so much. It's fine. It won't go to waste, Xie Yucheng said, picking up the dishes from the cutting board and soothing the distressed Qin Yan with a gentle voice. Qin Yan quickly understood his meaning. Yi Yucheng ate 5 bowls of rice and finished the 2-person meal without any signs of strain. Qin Yan's expression was a sight to behold. Was training very tiring today? The man spoke faintly. It's all right, just physically draining. Qin Yan quietly rubbed her forehead, gaining a new understanding of Xie Yucheng's appetite. While the man was drinking soup, Qin Yan mentioned the gifts from political commissar Liu's family during the day. Xie Yucheng looked at Qinyan with a hint of surprise, seemingly not expecting her to be so socially adept. It's not a valuable item, so you can accept it. After all, you saved their son. If you don't accept it, they will be uneasy. Qinyan nodded knowingly, then brought up the matter of Sun Yuzhen. During the day, Commissar Liu's wife mentioned the rumor of impotence. I know who is gossiping behind your back. Xie Yucheng paused the movement of pulling at his collar. Who? Qinyan's red lips parted slightly. It's Sun Yuzhen. Just then, she noticed Ji Kang's face was abnormally red. Why are you sweating so much? Is it very hot? Her voice, laced with concern and sweetness, entered Xie Yucheng's ears. The man pinched the bridge of his nose. It's nothing. I just feel a little hot. How are you sure it's Sun Yuzhen who spread it? Tianyan explained nonchalantly. When you were staying in the hospital, someone was eavesdropping on our conversation. The person's scent lingered in the corridor. She paused mid-sentence. Seeing his strained expression, Qinyan got up and walked over, patting his clenched fist resting on the table. Relax. Xie Yucheng subconsciously loosened his fist. Her soft, warm fingertips touched the inside of his wrist. His pulse was beating very fast, like a turbulent, passionate symphony. Qinyan lowered her eyes in surprise and saw a small, erect Xie Yucheng looking up. She looked at the man in disbelief. Did you take the wrong medicine? Why are you suddenly aroused? Xie Yucheng stared at the empty bowls and plates on the table. His sharp, dark eyes suddenly lifted. What did you add to the food? Xie Yucheng was sure that with his self-control, he couldn't have been spontaneously aroused. Qinyan's worry was replaced by a surge of unprovoked anger when he questioned her like this. What? You suspect I poisoned you? She wasn't tired of her life to willingly offer herself to be tormented by this man. Xie Yucheng's body was rapidly losing control, but his mind remained clear and rational. Hearing her words, he immediately apologized. I'm sorry, I misjudged. He stood up, unsteadily, poured himself a glass of water, and gulped it down. Suddenly, a gasp came from behind him. Xie Yucheng turned around and saw Qinyan looking guilty. A hint of panic also appeared in her eyes. It seems it is my fault. She pointed at the finished braised lamb. Lamb, when mixed with an herb you ate, can make you more robust. Looking at the man's strained, reddened eyes, Qinyan's strong survival instinct made her quickly apologize. What could Xie Yucheng do? Suppressing his anger, he asked, When will it get better? Qinyan stammered. It should be fine when it wears off. The man, who was already close to his limit, saw the girl's guilty expression and understood everything. He aggressively walked towards Qinyan. You set this fire, so you have to put it out. With that, the man's single hand clamped tightly around her slender waist. The other hand held her delicate chin. Qinyan was forced to tilt her head back. Just as she was about to protest, Xie Yucheng violently lowered his head, forcefully plundering the sweet, refreshing taste in her mouth. The blazing, greedy kiss left Qinyan dizzy. She frantically pounded on Xie Yucheng's solid chest. The man, who usually held himself with integrity and decorum, was now tightly embracing her, refusing to let her escape. His hand gradually descended, his fingertips landing on the buttons of Qinyan's collar. The restrained Qinyan trembled both physically and mentally from the teasing. Xie Yucheng, don't scare me. Her eyes filled with tears of fear, and her face turned pale with terror. The hot tears fell onto Xie Yucheng's face, instantly scalding his rapidly vanishing rationality back into place. He stared at Tianyan with blazing dark eyes. You don't want to? I'm scared. She seemed trapped in some terrifying memory. Her delicate, clear face was almost translucent with fear. Xie Yucheng's breathing was erratic. Qinyan's frightened, resistant appearance made him jump to the wrong conclusion. He had seen this intense reaction of resisting touch, full of shock and fear. Those people had experienced atrocious harm and torment after being kidnapped. Xie Yucheng abruptly released his arm from around her waist. The thought that Qinyan might have been violated burned his heart with an uncontainable rage. Xie Yucheng gritted his teeth, forcing down the surging desire within him. He raised his hand to wipe away the tears on Qinyan's face. No matter what you've endured in the past, now that you're married to me, you're my wife. I will protect you and never hurt you. I'm very sorry for what happened earlier. Then, under Qinyan's surprised gaze, he staggered towards the bedroom next door. But his movement was too hasty. The door was slammed shut, only to immediately bounce open, leaving a large crack. It was through this crack that Qinyan saw the moment the man tore off his clothes. Her heart panicked. She rushed into the bedroom without even cleaning the dinner table. That night, Qinyan finally succumbed to sleep late into the night. But her sleep was uneasy. The things she had personally experienced in her previous life repeated in her dreams. In a luxurious room with elegant, vintage decorations, Qinyan, dizzy from being drugged, leaned against the headboard. She used a gold needle to seal her pulse, preventing her consciousness from being swallowed by the medicine. The door was pushed open, and a young man in a casual suit walked in. "Tingyi, I heard this is your first time. Although you're older, looking at you, you're no different from a young girl." Qinyan raised her head, her cold eyes narrowed as she looked at the young man with a lecherous smile. "You little beast, how dare you plot against me? Are you tired of living?" The young man's expression turned ferocious. He grabbed Qinyan's hair and pulled her close. "Calling you Chingy, you really think of yourself as an elder? Today, I'll sleep with you. Let's see how you can still flaunt your power. From now on, you'll obediently be my dog." Qinyan propped up her weak body. A gold needle, clutched in her fingertips, quickly pierced the man's arm. The man jumped up in pain, pulling out the gold needle. His eyes glared viciously at Qinyan. "You're asking for it. Let's see how I'll deal with you." The young man triumphantly unbuckled his belt. "You obey me, and I guarantee I'll satisfy you comfortably." Qinyan leaned against the bed tightly, waiting for the gold needle's effect to kick in. Hearing the man's disgusting words, she parted her lips slightly. "You little beast, I will kill you," the young man swore. "You won't let me up, but the bodyguards outside aren't vegetarians. How about letting them do the job?" As soon as he finished speaking, Qinyan, sitting on the bed, moved. The next moment, blood was everywhere, the rich smell of blood sickening. In reality, Qinyan, plagued by the nightmare, lay on the bed, gritting her teeth and cursing. At that moment, the tightly closed bedroom door was pushed open. Yi Yucheng entered and heard Qinyan muttering something. He lifted the quilt and was about to lie down. The next second, Qinyan slapped the man's chest. "Get lost, you little beast! How dare you bully me? I'll kill you, you bastard!" Her cursing was fierce, but Xie Yucheng heard a trembling undertone of fear. He mistakenly thought that the night's intimacy had stimulated Qinyan, reminding her of past abuse. Over the years, Xie Yucheng had traveled widely and witnessed too much of the ugliness and darkness of human nature. He knew that beautiful women without the ability to protect themselves, when abused and wronged, would not find empathy. People would only think they were loose. This was especially true for women in remote areas. Many lived like walking dead. He pulled her small, fragile body into his arms. "Don't be afraid, I'm here. No one will bully you." The soothing actually worked. Qinyan's emotions calmed down, and her body burrowed into the man's embrace. At this time, the dream continued. Qinyan was just about to vent her anger in the dream when the door was pushed open from outside. Xie Yucheng, dressed in a military uniform, walked in wearing combat boots. His firm brow was lowered as he surveyed the blood-splattered scene like a murder site. Qinyan stared at Xie Yucheng in horror when she saw his hand reach towards his lower back. Her pupils contracted sharply. "Xie Yucheng, no!" But the man had already pulled out his weapon from his lower back. Qinyan quickly explained, "Listen to me. It's not what you think." A gunshot rang out. Xie Yucheng didn't give her a chance to explain. Qinyan, shot, looked at the profusely bleeding wound. "You dog of a man! I hate you!" After shouting this, Qinyan's head slumped and she died. In reality, Xie Yucheng also heard those words and was still thinking about what had happened. The next moment, a sharp pain struck his shoulder. Qinyan was genuinely biting him. She was not only biting hard, but grinding her teeth back and forth. Xie Yucheng gently stroked the back of Qinyan's head, his voice helpless. "Let go." Qinyan, who was furious in her dream, couldn't possibly hear him. However, she released her mouth shortly after. Freed from the disturbance of the dream, Qinyan pouted her delicate, cherry lips and fell into a deep sleep. But Xie Yucheng was suffering. It wasn't because Qin Yan was hitting and cursing him in her sleep, but because the fire in the prime of life Xie Youcheng's body was still burning. In just this short time, he felt his blood boiling. He let go of the person in his arms and tried to sit up, but the sleeping Qin Yan held on to him, refusing to let go. Xie Youcheng's deep eyes were bloodshot. He kept warning himself to stay calm and not lose his head. He didn't rush out until dawn. When Qin Yan opened her eyes, it was already noon. The man was nowhere to be seen. She panicked and got up as quickly as possible. This was the first time she had overslept since arriving at the camp. She hadn't cooked, given Xie Youcheng acupuncture, or made him soup. Because she was so anxious, she had completely forgotten all the embarrassing events from last night. After an hour of frantic work, lunch was finally ready. She sat in front of the stove, eating a tomato, while carefully watching the medicine boiling in the clay pot, her eyes serious and focused. She didn't notice a pair of deep eyes staring at her from behind. Qin Yan finished the tomato, and her hands were a little sticky. Just as she was about to get up to wash her hands, she lost her footing and fell backward. Xie Youcheng rushed forward, caught Qin Yan's lower back with one hand, and smoothly pulled her into his arms. The strong scent of pheromones, combined with the memory of last night's intimacy, immediately brought a blush to Qin Yan's cheeks. After a moment of silence, the man released her slender waist. "Are you all right?" Qin Yan nervously tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "I'm fine. I just didn't watch where I was going when I got up." After speaking, she bent down to lift the overturned stool and then went to remove the lid of the steamer for the rice. Xie Youcheng walked up to help. "Let me do it." Their hands accidentally touched. Qin Yan's body stiffened slightly. She subconsciously looked up and met a pair of deep eyes as dark as black jade. Xie Youcheng's eyes held a hint of distance. He withdrew his hand from her soft, small hand. "It's a little hot. I'll do it." Qin Yan quickly agreed and turned to take the dishes. However, her hurried footsteps sounded like she was fleeing in panic. They finished lunch in awkward silence. Xie Youcheng entered the bedroom as usual to prepare for the acupuncture treatment. Once engaged in her medical profession, Qin Yan finally became calm. "Have there been any changes to your leg in the past 2 days?" "It has more strength now. During training this morning, I almost couldn't resist challenging them," he said, resting one arm behind his head and slightly tilting his head to look at the lush vegetable garden outside the window. When he mentioned the morning training, his lips curled into a warm smile. Qin Yan raised her head, about to speak to reprimand him, but his handsome face, bathed in the sunlight, came into her view. Qin Yan was momentarily stunned, but quickly regained her composure. She softened her voice and warned him, "Before you're completely healed, don't think about adding a burden to it." There was a hint of shyness hidden in her gentle voice. Xie Youcheng noticed it keenly. He tilted his head to look at Qin Yan. "I know. I was just thinking about it." Qin Yan spoke softly. "It won't be long. Just bear with it for a little while longer." After the acupuncture, Qin Yan returned with a bowl of steaming black, bitter medicine. As she handed the medicine to Xie Youcheng, her eyes intentionally or unintentionally glanced at his arm. There was a very neat row of teeth marks imprinted there. She remembered clearly that the man did not have this mark yesterday. Xie Youcheng didn't notice. He took the bowl and drank the medicine in one gulp. The medicine quickly made him drowsy. He didn't wake up again until an hour and a half later. Xie Youcheng lifted the silk quilt, preparing to get up and leave. A cool sensation spread across his shoulder. He pulled up his sleeve. The wound where Qin Yan had bitten him last night was already covered with a layer of transparent ointment. Xie Youcheng couldn't help but smile. She still got some conscience, knowing to apply medicine afterward. But he overlooked a crucial point. How did the sleeping Qin Yan know she had bitten him? Just now, after Xie Youcheng fell asleep, Qin Yan had carefully examined the neat teeth marks. She was sure they were made by a woman. Could it be that after I rejected him, this guy had a tryst outside? Xie Youcheng was unaware that Qin Yan had misunderstood him. He lifted his feet and walked out. Agu was sitting in the living room fiddling with his weapon. Hearing footsteps, he looked up. "Brother Yu, you're awake." Xie Youcheng leaned lazily against the doorframe, a little confused. "Why are you here?" Agu expertly tucked the gun into his lower back. "Sister-in-law asked me to come. She said she needed me to watch you while she went into the mountains." "Into the mountains?" Xie Yucheng's face darkened, and his voice rose slightly. Agu quickly explained, scared. Sister-in-law said she was just wandering at the foot of the mountain. Don't worry, there's no danger. At this moment, Qin Nian, who was collecting herbs at the foot of Tianying Ridge, suddenly heard a familiar sarcastic and passive-aggressive voice. Well, look who it is. Isn't this the little fox girl from Yushan village? Qin Nian turned around and saw a familiar, ugly woman's face. This was the protagonist of the infamous wife-killing and son-maiming case that had shocked the country in her previous life, Qin Zhaodi. According to the records, Qin Zhaodi's husband was a soldier. She colluded with foreign forces and tipped them off during an operation, causing the brutal deaths of many of her husband's comrades. The distraught husband caught Qin Zhaodi and stabbed her nearly 100 times. She eventually bled to death. The husband was about to turn himself in but encountered 2 young men who were abusing a girl. The furious husband didn't spare the 2 young men either, making them eunuchs of the modern era. The man, feeling tainted by the blood of the children, eventually committed suicide at home. Thinking of this, Qin Nian's thoughts were a little chaotic. She called out the woman's name uncertainly. Qin Zhaodi? Qin Zhaodi sneered sarcastically. Only married for a year, and you pretend not to know me? Your man is in the 963rd unit. Of course, he's young and strong, 13 years younger than me. Unlike you, who married an old man 7 years your senior, who's also lame. Qin Zhaodi gloated, her expression so repulsive it made one want to slap her. But Qin Nian suppressed the urge and continued to probe. A woman who's been married 3 times and shamelessly snatched her niece's fiancé. Where do you get the nerve to be so arrogant? That innocent young man was forced to marry you. I doubt he can even touch you. Are you cheating on him because you're lonely and unsatisfied? Qin Zhaodi was hit where it hurt. What nonsense are you talking about? My man is full of vitality. He keeps me so exhausted that I can't take it. Qin Nian knew Qin Zhaodi was lying. As far as she knew, that man hadn't even touched Qin Zhaodi. Why don't I believe you? Her voice was clear and slow, deliberately provoking Qin Zhaodi. Qin Zhaodi bit her lip. My man is called Lang Yi. Believe it or not, go check for yourself. Xing Nian's scalp instantly prickled. It's the young man who ambushed Xie Yucheng on the training ground. After confirming who Qin Zhaodi's man was, Qin Nian couldn't be bothered to argue with her anymore. She turned and walked away with the bamboo basket on her back, thinking about how to prevent this tragedy from happening again. But Qin Zhaodi's shouting came from behind. Why are you running? I'm not finished talking. She kept chattering into Qin Nian's ear, mocking Xie Yucheng, calling him impotent and useless. I know a few strong men. Do you want to try them out? Qin Nian felt that Qin Zhaodi was seriously mentally ill. Don't be so cheap yourself and think everyone is like you. What are you saying? Qin Zhaodi rolled up her sleeves, ready to fight with Qin Nian. Slap. A loud slap rang out. I'm sick of seeing you. Don't provoke me. I'm afraid I'll kill you. Qin Zhaodi covered her face, momentarily stunned. When she realized what had happened, she let out a piercing howl. She reached out to grab Qin Nian's hair, looking like she was going to fight to the death. Qin Nian easily dodged the attack. You're the one who offered yourself up to be trampled. You should keep it for yourself. With that, she turned and ran. Facing the big burly Qin Zhaodi, she really wasn't a match unless she could use silver needles. Unfortunately, she had changed clothes today and forgotten to hide the needles on her person. The 2 women put on a show of chasing each other, attracting the attention of people working nearby. Just as Qin Nian looked back at Qin Zhaodi chasing her, she abruptly bumped into a firm chest. A familiar voice clearly reached her ears. Why are you so careless? Are you hurt anywhere? Qin Nian's tense body instantly relaxed. Xie Yucheng, you scared me to death. The man straightened Qin Nian's body and looked sternly at the heavy-set woman who had caught up. What are you trying to do to Nian Nian? Qin Zhaodi knew that Xie Yucheng held a high position. Although he was rumored to be impotent, he was highly regarded by Director Luo. She immediately dropped the tree branch in her hand. What am I doing? Just playing around. Xie Yucheng frowned, completely unconvinced. Is this how you play around? What if Nian Nian got hurt? Would you take responsibility? Qin Zhaodi, however, was nonchalant. Qin Nian and I are from the same hometown. Chasing and playing around, bumping into each other is normal. Upon hearing her identity, Xie Yucheng's face became even more somber. "You are Qin Zadi." He had received news earlier that the rumor about Qin Nian that Wang Chunling knew had originated from Qin Zadi's mouth. Qin Zadi looked at the man in surprise. "You know me?" She didn't notice the disgust in Xie Yucheng's eyes. She quickly smoothed her clothes and tidied her messy hair. Then she walked towards Xie Yucheng with a twist of her thick waist. "So Regiment Commander Xie has been paying attention to me. It's not easy for a woman like me to make a living. I finally met someone from my hometown and just wanted to catch up. Who knew that child Chenyan would actually despise you for being impotent and say you can't satisfy her physically?" Qin Zadi lied with her eyes wide open, looking quite provocative at Xie Yucheng. Just as she raised her hand to touch the man's chest, her hand was slapped away. Qin Nian's beautiful eyes glared fiercely at Qin Zadi. "What are you doing with your paws? So inviting." Qin Zadi's face twisted. She was about to curse, but considering Xie Yucheng's presence, she forcefully suppressed her anger. "You're the one who despises Regiment Commander Xie. I was just comforting him." Facing the, quote, green tea, Qin Nian didn't back down. She wrapped both arms around the man's arm. "Hubby, this woman said she wants to introduce me to a man and wants me to cheat on you." After saying this, Qin Nian herself couldn't stand it. She shivered, getting goosebumps. Qin Zadi's face changed drastically. "It's clearly you, little slut, who is lusting after men." A layer of icy coldness enveloped Qin Nian's face. "Your mouth has been soaking in a latrine for too long. You open it and spew filth." Qin Zadi, having been cursed, couldn't hold back anymore. She aggressively rushed forward. "You little tramp, I'll tear your mouth off." Bang! Qin Zadi was kicked several meters away into a clump of trees. Xie Yucheng, his body radiating fury, stared at the woman on the ground. This was not just because Qin Zadi dared to bully Qin Nian, but also because of her despicable means to marry Lang Ye, cheating on Lang Ye, and relying on her status as a military dependent to bully the villagers. Qin Zadi was stunned for a moment. Then she opened her mouth and let out a tragic howl. "Help! A military officer is assaulting me!" The onlookers, who had been watching the fun, scattered like migrating birds at the sound of this. This sight dumbfounded Qin Nian. She looked at Xie Yucheng with a blank expression. What's going on? Those villagers didn't seem to be afraid. In fact, seeing Qin Zadi getting punished, they looked rather expectant. Xie Yucheng's chest heaved with suppressed anger. This woman has been relying on her status as a military dependent to bully the nearby villagers and steal the fruits of their labor. They gave them to me willingly. Qin Zadi, seeing the people run away, stopped pretending to be weak. She stuck out her neck and shouted loudly. Qin Nian looked at the woman on the ground with mockery. "You even snatched your own niece's fiancé. You snuck into that young man's bed in the middle of the night and forced him to acknowledge you. A shameless woman like you never speaks the truth." Before Qin Zadi could retort, she grabbed Xie Yucheng's arm. "Let's go." But after only a few steps, Qin Nian flung his hand away in disgust. Xie Yucheng glanced at her. "Are you still mad?" Qin Nian's footsteps paused for a moment. She turned and stared at the arm, covered by his clothes, where the woman's teeth marks were imprinted. Having unexpectedly learned about the major tragedy from her past life, she felt frustrated and anxious. Consequently, her patience with Xie Yucheng was limited. She asked Xie Yucheng point blank, "Are you seeing someone else outside?" Xie Yucheng was full of question marks. "Don't talk nonsense. Where would I find someone else?" Since coming to the camp, he knew no more than 5 women, including Director Luo's wife and Political Commissar Luo's wife. But Qin Nian thought he was just refusing to admit it. Men really are all the same. Thinking this, she didn't press further and changed the subject. "I heard about Cao Zhenmei coming to the camp. Thank you for that." She had met a few military wives that afternoon and learned the news from them. However, one thing made her very angry. "Even though you helped me, you can't ruin my reputation. Everyone is spreading rumors that I am frail, weak, and timid, making me seem as delicate as a porcelain doll. You need to clarify this. I am not that useless." Xie Yucheng looked at the petite Qin Nian and decided there was no need for clarification. She cries at the drop of a hat. What else is that but a crybaby? If I speak a little fiercely, she immediately says she's scared. That's also true. As for being frail and weak, remembering last night, he awkwardly rubbed the tip of his nose. No need to explain, that is what people associate with you. It's fine this way. What's fine? So that's how I look in the eyes of this dog of a man.